Yo, what is up? Does my mic still work? Is it still working? It is working. What's up, Dex? How's it going? Yo, there's some crazy stuff on the marketplace. Like, there's this like $1,500 San Francisco map. I kind of want to see it, but that's kind of a lot, and I bet it's massive. So I don't really know, but this one's pretty cool. Those big maps overwhelm me. Even like the Free Central Park kind of overwhelms me. Oh yeah, these are quite witchery. I should do like a female skin next. I haven't retargeted the female MetaHuman though. Anyway, there's a very expensive there's some very expensive stuff on here now. This looks pretty nice. I have to make my Witcher set. There's like a perfect one on this. I can't ever spell medieval. It's a weird word. Is this how you spell it? Medieval? There's like a perfect one. Oh, it's this one. So this is perfect. It's $50, and I could build pretty much everything I would need for an interior with this. But the thing is, Quixel basically it even has some swords. Like Quixel kind of has everything too. So I started building it yesterday in Quixel, but yeah, like they have like kind of all this stuff. But something happened. It was like a fresh 4.27 project. And I imported all the Quixel stuff into the project, and all the base shaders were broken. They were all black. So I don't know what happened with that. But anyway, this one would be really good. And there's a really good environment that's like an amazing... It looks like super Witcher. Like, oh, it's this one. That's how I found it's brand new. And like just this level, I play The Witcher every day right now. Witcher 3. This is Witcher 3. This is like it. This, are you serious? Like it could be Skellige, it could be easy. This is like the exterior. But I would rather build it from scratch myself with Quixel assets. But I mean, like, damn, this is it. This is basically the Witcher set. Slightly different shading models than which is like straight DirectX 11. So that there's some stuff that like can't happen, but this one's pretty good. So basically, this and the other one, I'll be making Witcher sets real quick. But so let's see how this. I forgot all the shortcuts for how to use sequencer. I'll get back into it. So this is the MOCAP take from yesterday. And it is the Vicon skeleton retargeted to the MetaHuman male tall normal. And this is our skin MetaHuman that I spent 2 weeks making. And this is how it turned out. So, overall, Vicon just does like a really good job. On the animation side, there's 2 things. And there's a bit of a fix for them coming up that I have to go do on the Vicon side. No one here probably uses Vicon yet. But I'm going to retarget the neck a little bit differently. The MetaHuman neck gets a little too active on my retarget. And where is that? Like kind of like here. Something like there. So this is a 2-part issue. One is I let the neck get a little bit too active on neck 1. And then in the rigging process, I very lightly rigged the collar, and only the collar, nothing from here because of the kind of bad copy skin weights I had going on. Basically, none of this up here reacts to the neck like it should, so the neck pops out. So that's like one of the main issues. That is, one, solved by my retarget to not have the neck go so crazy. And then 2, solved by, if it does go crazy though, let's have this, basically the full collar and at least 1 or 2 rows of vertices, and unfortunately this, need to be influenced by neck 1, clearly. And then maybe like a smooth for the next 1 or 2 rows around it. Just so that this upper area deforms with it. Because this tears out. So that's like starting at the top of the mesh. That's the first problem. And I'm going to try to work on that today a little bit. The second is that we have hard rigged the shoulders. And I stick by that. basically when you're walking with your arms down, it's all perfectly fine. And it even works almost up until T-pose, right? So like even here, like it's fine. Here we start to have some other issues, but overall, like is it going down, you know, the arms up is an issue, of course. The neck coming out, and then that shows another issue. So, however, on this glorious uppercut here that I did, I'm moving on to the second main issue. The shoulders I'm going to leave. I think that clip is like fine. It's an extreme. Not a huge problem for me. However, this I don't really like. And I didn't rig this armor to like a helper bone, like a new helper bone. That would be kind of like the next step, is start to make custom skeletons on top of the MetaHuman. But this is basically rigged directly to upper arm, I believe. Mostly because the pose assets for we could actually go look at them today. I have the Maya file of it. We also see a skinning issue from the shirt. We can see how much like this little stitch got made this big. I kept seeing that really over and over again, but I haven't freeze framed it. So, you know, it's an extreme. You know, we're taking something that was down in an A pose and bringing it up. So it's stretching. So it doesn't look great here. It would be better if this covered it, basically. But what's happening here is the arm, it's staying with the arm, but there's a latissimus or lat correction bone here, and I'd have to see the skeleton, but there's definitely some pose driving happening around here that's making this area kind of like bulge. I've been retargeting the bones all yesterday, so I know the names of the bones pretty well. Anyway, these are pretty much bulge bones. That's what they call the correctives in the fingers, but there's bulging here. So to preserve mass and have it look like, you know, proper on like a naked MetaHuman, basically this shirt is doing that, and it's popping out from here where this isn't. So one way to fix this is to actually smooth bind this armor to this. So in this case, what would happen is the armor here would scale. This armor would kind of like scale up and down like it was muscle, which isn't realistic, but like in motion is all I really care about. What's up, original? How's it going? In motion is all I really care about, and like seeing the shirt through the armor looks more like a mistake than if the armor scaled, is the thought. So I might re-rig that a little bit. Kind of to my surprise, the hands retargeted and skinned like kind of perfectly for me, you know, for what I'm going for. This finger misplacement isn't the rigging, it's the Vicon hand solve. I don't have any low cameras in my system. They're all from above, and that's less than ideal if you're going to capture hands. You really want to have like 4 positioned. So I would need 4 more cameras, or possibly move 4 of mine down. I have 10, so I could have 6 in the air, 4 on the ground, but I think that's going to compromise the solve too much. And realistically, say I was going to take this animation that I've baked out into my game, or using like a final cinematic, I'm cleaning up hands anyway. So like really, when it comes to cleanup, if Vicon's giving me this, it's basically fixing Pinky 1. Pinky 1's pushed a little too in, you know, ring finger 2 a little arced out, and so we're gonna clean up. You know, Vicon can hit extremely accurate hand poses. I watched one of their latest MetaHuman retargets, and they're like interlocking fingers like behind his head, and it's hitting every finger like perfectly. You just have to have the correct camera setups, and mine's really set up for full body. But as far as the skinning to the MetaHuman hand, that was pretty much a copy skin weights, and it's working out quite well. And I'm gonna go look at the skeleton again pretty soon. But Original's looking at retargeting this stuff too. I gave up retargeting because there's still a couple things. Like, I actually didn't retarget the new skeleton. I actually used the old skeleton And the way that it works is the helper bones are all children of the old skeleton. So you actually don't need them. And you're not supposed to drive the helper bones from MOCAP. So you can actually delete them. And someone from Epic Games who works on special projects actually said that on my tweet after I posted the video after I figured this all out. Let me tell you, there's not a lot of help for this kind of stuff if you want to do it. You're pretty much flying on the edge. And I had talked to like pretty much everyone who does, and they still don't know either. It's like, or if they do know, it's not something that they're like going to make a tutorial about or even a help document on it. They're all trying to ship something like the Matrix demo, and so they don't have time for that kind of stuff. And on their time off, they don't like to talk about it. They know they're going to go take an actual break. But this is an extreme. This is a breaking point. This is where the shoulder hard rig and the upper arm hard rig clip. And I knew this would happen. And so for certain poses, it's going to look bad. And that's fine. When this happens, it basically, like, there's going to be things like this that are unavoidable. And there's a lot more in the rig. You just try to film it at that point from a way that it's not going to be so noticeable, or it happens quickly. You know, like it just happens fast. You film around it. You move around it. There's always something like that with rigs. There's no like perfect rig unless it's like a skin suit, something like Superman, Batman, you know, those kind of things. Like it's going to be fine. Those are going to be fine. So it's the neck. It's the hard rig shoulders. Kind of knew that. When we go up, I didn't mean to, I should have edited this out. This is like another absolute worst case scenario for this rig, because the shoulders are hard rigged and these are also hard rigged. So it's like, oh, like, you know, just obviously very bad. On top of that, the way that the default Vicon solve works, from what I've seen, is that right now the clavicles are pretty much straight and it won't push them up. There's like almost nothing I can do in the Vicon solve unless I go, I don't even know how I would reweight it. You'd have to reweight the solve, but it's very unlikely that the shoulders would ever go up. So that would be taking, we can bake this to control rig and tweak it, but like almost never do my shoulders actually come up. Which normally looks okay, but on the MetaHumans it needs like 2 degrees, but I'm not really sure how to affect that solver. So this is something I pretty much like always anticipate. So this, you know, the MetaHuman Witcher doing like a waking up in the morning and stretching, from a performance point of view, I shouldn't do that. Not with these big shoulder plates on. And if you think about it, if you had shoulder plates like this, like if you're wearing like football armor, it's pretty damn hard to put your hands up because there's this armor would like smash into your head. So for a lot of reasons, you basically shouldn't do this. So my next test for this setup is going to be, I'm going to try to like recreate some of like the sword actions attacks that he does from Witcher 3. Like I'll go screen record a bunch of sword attacks and try to recreate them and see how they go with like a, you know, a prop sword. And, you know, one of the things to look out for is that like, you can't do this. Like I'm not a Jedi. I can't. Jedi outfits, you have full mobility. In knight armor and MetaHuman, in Witcher armor like this, you have limits. You know, there's certain poses that you can't do because of your armor. So I'm going to try to keep that in mind when I record them. So I'm so grateful. It's very hard to get help with MetaHumans. Well, they're in beta. Even Vicon doesn't know. Like, you know, like they're still learning. There's like 3 people at Vicon, and like their job is to like sort this out. But then it changes, and they don't have the full story either. Like I was talking with them recently. They're still on, I think they come back today actually. But there was some assumptions that they were making. And I was like, no, that's not how it works actually. To my knowledge, I could be wrong. Like I'm saying, like for how I think about it, like their latest solve, they keep all the helper bones open as far as degrees of freedom, and I'm like, no, I wouldn't do that. You don't want, that's going to slow down the Vicon solve a lot. Which actually, when I was doing this yesterday, this stuff is heavy. These solves in the background, they're not light. This is not like I can do this in real time, but it stresses out a Z8 with like, you know, 200 gigs of RAM, A6000s, like everything. And that computer could not run OBS at the same time. It would be dropping frames. On top of, again, rendering Lod 0 MetaHumans in 4K, like full UHD 4K. That's a lot. So all of this is a lot. So it's like, people talk about this being like, it's going to be a long time before this is like anywhere near consumer level. This is like high end, like single workstation work right now. Like if you were to spin up a node like this on like a web server, like the MetaHuman creators, it's like that's going to cost you like 100 an hour or something. Like that's going to be like super expensive if they even make nodes. I don't even know if consumers can get nodes that are like, off the cloud at this kind of configuration. So this stuff is very heavy. So I actually ended up recording it, which I don't normally do these days. But that's my next phase, is to actually start recording them. There's going to be things coming out in Unreal Engine and that sort of world, as you might imagine, to deal with the animation a bit more versus like raw right now. It's pretty tough to clean up mocap in Unreal Engine 5. You can kind of do it, but we don't have animation layers, we don't have constraints, we don't have, it's still much better to do that in Maya or Motion Builder, really Motion Builder. So the next thing, there's never one reason for why that looks weird. It's two things happening. One is that the belt is soft rigged, soft skinned, versus these are hard skinned. These won't change shape. They will not deform. They're just parented to a bone. This can't really do that. But what's happening is that I don't see the skeleton at the moment. We're going to go back into Maya. It's like, probably between like, pelvis is around here into spine 1, and spine 1 you really shouldn't mess with too much. Then there's spine 2, and then up here is about spine 3. Anyway, it's bound basically half between two bones, and so when those bones bend together a little bit like the spine would do, it compresses it, it's squishing it, and you'd rather not if you can get away with that. So I'm gonna see if I can hard rig the front, at least this area, to just one spine bone and see how bad that goes. It might clip. That's what's gonna happen. Is like when you hard bind, things clip at a certain angle. If you soft bind, they get squishy. So they don't clip, but they're squishy. So it's kind of weird. And if we look at this here, the way that this got rigged is this is flat. If I stand in a T pose, A pose, this is flat. And so clearly there's a bit of distortion even standing like somewhat neutrally. I mean, I'm a little bit on this foot, but I'm standing fairly neutral. There's a lot of distortion here. Can you make two versions of the shoulders, one hard bind and one soft bind, and switch between them in the blueprint? Yeah, I could. They're actually their own skeletal mesh, so I could do that. This is like its own, so I could take these off, so I could switch them back and forth. Yeah, I should probably do that. Actually, I guess that's how I have to do it, because I didn't rig these together. I rigged these as a separate skeletal mesh because I couldn't see the shoulder, so I just took them off. I think that's how they are in there. I can go look in a second. So there's really not much to say about this because, oh, actually, I take it back. This chest piece here, this is one mesh. Obviously modeled as two separates, but when I re-toppled them, I toppled them together because I didn't want this seam to open up. I wanted that to, and I knew this is a fairly inactive area. Up here it gets active, but like right there, there's not a lot going on. These are actually separate skeletal meshes, meaning that like this, but the pants are like up here or something like that. They could clip through each other, which I didn't see them doing too much, so they actually waited out fine. But they do give an odd, very distorted nope like this, and so that's also possibly because of the retarget. Which I don't have Shogun on this computer. I'm gonna ask them if I can get another Shogun license for this computer. Yeah, Blizzard. Yeah, wow. Yeah, that's for a different stream. But this is what Shogun looks like when I'm retargeting, and so I am very close to the proportions of a MetaHuman male tall normal, which is why I'm using that skeleton. One of the reasons. Where when you're doing a Vicon shoot, the skeleton that gets generated that tracks you is you. It's like pretty much trying to figure out like the size of all of your bones. And if you're asymmetrical, you will get an asymmetrical. Actually, I'm not sure about that. I think you can turn it on to have asymmetrical skeletons because you might have different sized arms, different sized legs, etc. Like Vicon, by nature of being optical and being like these little points on your body, it is measuring your femur. It's measuring your body. So if you put a tall actor in here, he'd be up here. You put a short actor, they'd be lower. You put people with different proportioned bodies, you will see that reflected, and it changes the retarget. So you have to retarget every single person you're doing. Whereas like a lot of the mocap systems, you kind of don't do that. But with optical, like the high-end optical stuff, every single actor is completely different skeletons, and it matches them pretty well. I, however, am pretty much dead on to a MetaHuman male tall normal with no target scaling either. So I don't even scale. Motion Builder is really the place if you're going to get into scaled skeletons, where as the skeleton gets bigger, the distance it moves would have to get scaled, and same wise if it's shorter, you'd have to move them less for like locomotion retargeting. But for me, because I'm so one-to-one, I don't have to do any of that scaling. So if I was like a foot taller, this basically wouldn't work as well. As well as my projects go so far. So I'm like forever going to be like the male tall normal. But one of the issues is that while I've prioritized lining the upper body, because like this is what you mostly see, I do an IK retarget, which we're going to be able to do this in Unreal Engine fairly soon. They keep saying, they're like, Jeremiah and Kieran are like, yeah, it's coming soon, like we're working on it, and they like share stories and blah blah blah. But like, it's coming that we'll be able to do hopefully these IK positional retargets in Unreal Engine itself. You're gonna have to, I'm assuming it's a control rig setup, but we'll see. While my upper body is aligned, my lower body is not. Like my hips are, rather, I'm the white skeleton and the MetaHuman is the pink skeleton. My upper body is longer proportionally than the MetaHuman. So my hips are like lower, meaning my legs are shorter than the male tall normal. And I do a position, do I do positional hips? I forget. I probably do a positional hip constraint, meaning our hips end up keeping this offset. They're parented together more or less. And then I do a positional for the feet too. So what happens is like, if I just stand normally, it's because of the offsets, it's going to do this. But as soon as I start moving and I start off weighting, there's kind of like this inherent bend that will always happen because I have shorter legs than the person I'm retargeting to. So this starts to show itself in, I think, here, where I'm not on both feet in like T pose, A pose. I'm weighted on this foot. It's adding bend to the character's knees that I don't have. And so that's activating this deformation in a place that you wouldn't think. I am in Boston, Mass, US. So there's not a lot to fix with that. With optical mocap, the proportion of the actor doing the motion capture relative to the final character matters a lot. So you'll see in a lot of things behind the scenes, they'll actually cast the body actor to be as close as possible, sometimes as close as possible to the actual in-game character. So you think of like that Resident Evil like tall lady, like Lady D. I'm pretty sure the mocap actor of that is really tall too. I've seen her. I think she won an award recently. I think she's like really tall, and I think it matches Lady D. I think Lady D is like 9 feet tall or something. But anyway, in optical, you try to match the body actors because it affects it. And so I'm very upper body. I am a male tall like MetaHuman. Like my upper body solves for the MetaHumans. It's why I could do that drum demo that I did. And a lot of the upper body demos I do are like stellar because I match the skeleton so well. Lower body, not so much. If for mocap demos like this, I should probably turn off positional constraints for the feet and let the knees be a little bit more normal. And that might loosen up the hips here to be more normal too. So that's like a whole retargeting test. I'd have to go try retargeting this later and see if that smooths it out. But at the least, if this is going to be happening, because this is a really active area, which I'll show in a second later, this belt gets crushed. It stretches and gets crushed, and it's not great. The other thing is that I kind of like freestyle modeled these boots, and I wasn't looking at the underlying skeletons. So while there is a little bend there, basically you will never see proper toe bend. I don't know if this is from the retarget or not, but you see here how like this is like foot bone, toe. I basically modeled these shoes, boots, too short. So the toe bone's like here. So there's no toe bone deformation. So I modeled this guy's feet too small, where I would say like in general, well, I'm definitely going to, I have a new way that like, I just did that whole workflow on modeling and skinning, and I have a new way of doing it now. I made his feet too short, so they should be like here. So you can kind of see like them starting to bend there, but really this foot needs to be like here to have like a proper bend. So it's kind of that was a mistake. But this is the first time I made shoes, so anyway, you gotta give the mesh, if you're gonna use an existing skeleton, you gotta give it something to grab onto. So there's nothing for the toe bone to get rigged to. Is my take, unless something happened with the retarget with the toe bones. So I don't know. There's a lot of things that happen. There's a lot of things to make this thing work. So I'm trying to zero in on like what I think the issues are with mine. I'm not sure. You'll underdrive and overdrive. Yeah, and it's not linear like that either, because like if you're using Vicon, it's a full body solve. But it does its best to kind of like even everything out. And obviously, I mean, like look at this, like it's insane. And so with recorded animation too, I don't know if it comes across on YouTube, but a couple, I think on Twitter, like some pretty big game developer designers were talking about how nice the solve is. Is that in Vicon, when I record it in Shogun, it's 120 frames per second, and you can go higher. So I have this animation at 120 frames per second, like smooth. And that 120 frames per second is a smooth 120 frames per second, meaning it's actually, I guess it's not oversolving, but anyway, we have 120 frames per second base solve animation file that's smooth. Like I could play this back to you at 120 HFR and it would look good. But then I take this and I record it into Unreal Engine at 60, so we're oversampling that. So that 60 is dead smooth. And then by the time it makes it to YouTube or a linear render, I do 30. So we have like 4 times the temporal resolution. And like with that all together, with like the solve fixing it's doing in between, you end up with the smoothest 30 frames per second basically possible. I mean, it's like, this is so oversampled for time, and it's part of the reason this looks so smooth here. So this is actually a 60 frames per second animation, but it's playing back here at 30, and it would be going to YouTube as well at 30. So, you know, the base mechanics and stats coming from Vicon are just like insanely smooth, and it's a full body solve, meaning like if you move the finger, it affects the shoulder. I mean, not like one-to-one like that, but it's not like they're isolated, right? So like when the hips are pulling in a little bit, it's like in Motion Builder or HIK, that if you like overdrive the hand, it will actually affect the whole solve. It might even pull the heel up a little bit, something like that. And you basically give each bind you do a weight in the solve. And so right now, for instance, we're giving way too much weight to the neck one. Neck one's like, and his head goes crazy. Other little thing is I should have extruded the collar all the way down, like all the way into it and capped it. This would be a pretty easy fix for now to just make this double-sided. So that's kind of like the rig review. If we call this like the ROM, this is not like a standard ROM or anything like that, but it's what, I don't know, it's me walking around. How tall am I? I think I'm like 5'10", something like that. And the MetaHuman's like an inch taller than me or something like that. And so the MetaHumans have different head sizes, so there's that. But overall, if we're taking like skeleton at shoulder level, this is me. I'm the white skeleton. So the head, you know, the head's gonna give you plus or minus, but I'm about 5'10". So, but you know, the head and hair, or the head anyway, is like a plus or minus of like that many inches, I'm sure. But if you look at my shoulders, like look how perfectly this aligns. Not everyone's going to align to the MetaHuman skeleton like this. And then the mismatch is mostly here. And my leg bones, as far as Vicon's concerned, are pretty similar. My feet are not, actually. My feet don't match the MetaHuman skeleton all that well. I think I have smaller feet than the MetaHuman. But yeah, no, I'm as far as like skeleton scale 1, because I can scale myself up and down using this here. I am dead on here, and I do positional here, so my feet are he's a little taller than me, for sure. But like as far as as far as retargeting is concerned, it's like I'm the same person. Okay, so let's see here. So there's been some new developments here as I've popped into full Maya, and that's how I should have been doing it from the beginning, but I started with Maya LT, and I've been slowly working myself up into like the full Maya workflow. But yeah, now that I've gotten this far, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll just pay for full Maya, like probably forever at this point, because rigging and animation cannot happen in any other program. You can't use Maya LT, you can't use Blender, you can't use Max. It has to be full Maya. And luckily the plugin works with Maya 22, so I don't have to like two versions of it. So I'm gonna jump back into Maya for a second. I have a couple questions I wanted to test. This new MetaHuman skeleton, something with the fingers breaks the mesh preview in Shogun, and I think it's the same thing the original 9's dealing with in Motion Builder. My Shogun says unknown transforms on the finger bones. I don't know what that means, but it breaks the preview mesh. So I'm actually using the OG MetaHuman full body preview, and it works perfectly. But we skinned it to the new skeleton as I streamed it. But yeah, that's the rig. Overall, pretty good. I'd say like most of it's like, the problems are 50% how I've retargeted from Vicon, and 50%, rigging, skinning decisions. I'll say that much, the decisions. And it's never perfect. You get a AAA video game character in here, and there's going to be poses and angles that look weird, that are not good. They won't be as obvious as this probably. And if they are, they're being managed by bones. You put bones on the problem areas and you animate them. And that's what the pose drivers are doing here. But then even then, you're going to find a pose. Like do like a split or like some weird Cirque du Soleil contortion pose that people can do. It's not going to work. It's going to break it. So the rig has to basically accommodate the type of animation your character will do. Like Spider-Man needs to be a lot more flexible than The Witcher because he has shoulder pads. So that's just what's going to happen. So what I want to check out is some Maya stuff. I don't know you can stuff in Motive. Interesting. I don't know if you can do this stuff in Motive. No, you can't. No. Motive, to my understanding, does not have retargeting at all. There's no retargeting. People who use OptiTrack have to use Motion Builder, pretty much. You can't just use it. Whereas like the Vicon, if you wanted to, you could do it this way. That being said, most high-end MOCAP studios who are using Vicon also use Motion Builder because, you're going to need to, retarget to, a forearm giant or, a giraffe or, something crazy. So that's where the Motion Builder stuff really comes in. If you want to, MOCAP a horse, you're going to have to write that solve kind of custom. But for bipeds, which is, humans, with this, you really do not need Motion Builder. And I was talking to, maybe it'll come out in the future, but I'm working with a couple people right now who are kind of going through this process too, where it's they've done a little mocap, but they haven't done not many people have touched the high-end stuff unless you work at a studio. So, okay, so this rig, dare I even open it? So this Maya file is 326 megabytes. When I click on it, my computer takes a full minute to open it. It's so massive. But let's try it. Yeah, okay. So this is not a Maya crash. This is a Maya waiting. Unreal Engine has a couple processes like this too. Actually, getting this animation file from my downstairs computer to this computer was a real problem. You can't, 4.27, at least when I'm doing it, if you right-click an animation asset and try to export it as an FBX, it's just a crash. Or it's one of these guys where it's this looks like a Maya crash, but it will eventually open. And if it doesn't, I'll just kill it. I don't stream dual system up here, so if this bricks my computer, obviously the stream goes down. Whereas I used to stream dual system, so I could basically crash my main computer over and over again while I'm developing, which is pretty common. And the stream would stay up. But so if this stream goes away, it's because Maya died. Fully died. But so I am currently on a Z8. Not my high-end Z8. This is my lower spec Z8. No, wait a minute. No, never mind. This is no. Oh yeah, this is my lower spec Z8, but it's still a Quadro 8000 in here. It's still 200 plus gigs of RAM, double Xeons. And look how long this Maya file takes to open. This, you're not doing this on a laptop, you're not going to pull this off on anything less, basically. It's pretty insane how heavy these files are. Yeah, okay, now it's just coming to life. Okay, so I broke the DX11 shader, so don't worry about the shading. I didn't have everything set up correctly when I first did this workflow, so his shaders got broken. But you don't really need the shaders; they don't look all that good anyway. They're not like the Unreal Engine shaders. We'll just stay here. You can get like preview. They're still just brown. It's not like the actual texture from the MetaHuman usually. So this is like the full MetaHuman setup here. So I think these are live. Yeah, so these ones are live. Okay. So this rig, there's streams on this. I'm not going through this because I don't animate this way yet. I'm trying to avoid the Maya retargeting workflow because it's heavy. You saw how long it took to open this file. Like, it's not something I want to deal with. But anyway, like, this is a very tricky way. The way that they get the animation from this back to Unreal Engine is very tricksy. Like, these are things I've never done. So these are like super high end, like Maya rigging animation techniques that we get to skip for the most part. At least I do. But they give this so that like the big studios, they're obviously going to come in here and try to change things and do all sorts of stuff. I don't have to do. I don't do any of this shit. But so what we do have now. We could drop an HIK on this. There's a lot of ways to put like a control rig on this skeleton. But I do that. I do my retargeting in Vicon, and then my cleanup is to be decided later. I'd like to do it in Unreal when they come out with the proper stuff for it. But I'm not 100% on this. But what I understand, I believe, is that this. I don't know what DHI stands for. I could talk to Chris or Reham, but like, this is the skeleton it's rigged to, and I've been able to do some stuff with it, but we will see. That's the one it's skinned to. However, this is the driver skeleton. So this skeleton has no weighting on it, but it's the one that you would animate, I believe. So we could build a control rig on top of this, in which in Maya there's multiple ways of going about it. We could use HIK. I've never used Quick Rig, and then there's also Advanced Skeleton. There's a bunch of like auto skeletons that people use. I don't want to use any of that shit, or rigs rather. They're control rigs. We do the control rigs in Unreal Engine too. But one of the things that's cool about this, if you decided to build your skins in this workflow, I don't want to have to spend 10 minutes opening a Maya file every day. But like, what's cool about this is that it has the where are they? This has the actual helper bones logic built into them, and this is where you author pose driving is in this file. I think you need a script. I believe they have a script that allows you to author them. I'm not authoring any of them yet. I'd rather do it in control rig, but apparently you do it in here. I really don't want to do that. But what's cool about this is that you're gonna actually. Oh, and you can't undo that actually. But whatever. This file is. This is the stock file. When you go from Bridge to Maya, you get this over and over again. So I could destroy this and I could just regenerate it. But what is cool is like all the rigs are all like the helper bones are gonna fire. So when you do this to like the regular MetaHuman that doesn't have, like, if you export from Unreal Engine the MetaHuman and then you do this in Blender or Maya, it's gonna break and rip. And that's what it looks like in Motion Builder too, and in Motive or Shogun. Like, you don't get this extra firing. So this is like, actually you're able to look at the skinning correctly here. So you would want to animate from here. Like, this is the source file that you would want to animate MetaHumans from. That's probably obvious for people who've been like doing Maya animation with MetaHumans out of the gate, but I haven't been. I still don't. I really don't want to. I don't want to be in this program if I can. So another thing, I think it's because I went and found it. This MetaHuman body is quads. And I was complaining the entire last 2 weeks about how like the MetaHuman I was working with is triangles. And so like, how am I supposed to figure out the topology on the hands? You know, what's the best topology for like intersecting basically like, you know, the arm cylinder into the chest cylinder? It's right here. This is the way. Like, this loop goes really deep. Like, it's all the way out here. Like, that's where you should put it. And so the MetaHumans are designed very, like, the topology is like not accidental. And so when we're trying to make skins for them, it makes sense to at least be aware of like where they're doing their intersections. And then if you look at this, I didn't do anything like this. I was like, boop, like right across and like ZR meshed it. But they have this very specific, so like you see the stars are here. and then there's another kind of star here. You can kind of see these cuts, like this kind of art directed cut. Is this going to go around? No, it's not. But anyway, in my mind, it's going down this way. Oh no, it's this actually. There it is. This is the MetaHuman crotch cut right there. It's like you could almost cut the legs off here. It's probably good to, now, if you're doing skin tight stuff, you should probably use this as the base mesh and then copy attributes to it from a deformation rigging point of view, which is like, it's kind of like where, like, generally I watched a lot of character tutorials from ZBrush and Maya and Marvelous, and most of them, their finish is to be a roundabout on ArtStation. It's not to rig back to an existing skeleton. So there's different priorities, in my opinion, when it comes to like topology and workflows. Because like if your end goal is just to be like, is that even 3D? I can't even tell anymore. Like, is that 3D? I can't tell 3D and 2D on ArtStation. People are so damn good at this. I mean, I'm trying to find one. This one looks like it actually probably goes back to a game mesh properly. But anyway, if your goal is this, what are they going back to? Maybe they did. Maybe this went back. But like, if your goal is just a high poly render like this, it's a completely, I consider it, or it's a completely different mindset. It was A, maybe it was skin properly. See if they have like the low poly. Oh no, so they did low poly. So this one would rig fine. Anyway, there's a lot of like character art where like they never go back to this. They never low poly and they never skin it back to a game mesh. Whereas like that's all I care about. Like that's the most important part, is so that we, oh, I didn't even show it. Yeah. That's a tricky one. I need to kind of see how people handle that kind of stuff. We have ray tracing off on this too, but it's fine. This sun control. Get it. There it is. Okay, so this didn't work out. Like the way that this folds. So there is a way to sort that out, and it looks like this. It's going to be something like this, and then the skinning needs to, as this leg comes up, there's like a couple corrective things that happen. Not a ton, but you can get better than this, basically. So this quadded out MetaHuman, let me see, where is this guy? Is this the LOD combined? No, this is like actual MetaHuman. What? Even this one's quad. Yeah, see, I was working with this like triangulated crap game, like crappy version of it. Like this is the one you should be working with. You should copy skin weights from this. You should animate from this one. And when it came, I was trying to like figure out, I did like my own bad version of this hand topology. This is it. This is the better version. If you want the knuckles to be prominent, which the knuckles are kind of like, oh God, if we get into the skeleton in here, but like there's basically bulge bones like here at the end at each top joint. So when the finger bends, they scale and get bigger, like bulge basically in the pose driver. And so to do that and not stretch the mesh in a way that looks awful, you need this kind of topology, or it helps to have this topology there. So as expected, like the hand stuff just like flies around. Like you don't really know. Like if there was like my stuff doesn't quite have that topology in there. It's like kind of in there. Ooh, we got some weird shit happening there actually. What is that? There's probably, that was a bad projection. Oh, that's a texture mistake. There's a lot of steps to this. But anyway, like the hands generally, like you see them, but like they're just flying around. Like you don't really notice them. So it's pretty subtle. But my hands don't do that so well. They don't have the resolution or the topology to do it. But look at them though. It's like, okay, that's fine though. Like who cares? I think for the most part. But it would still be good to get it right. So like there's definitely a world where like when I'm in the retopology phase that I might like delete this or extract this hand topology here and like shrink wrap it onto my mesh and start from there. I wish it was a little bit lower poly because this is insane, but they do have those in here actually. There's a whole layer, very intimidating layer of this is basically like in Unreal Engine there's the Lod Manager component, which thank God someone wrote that, because yeah, otherwise we would have a much harder time programming the LODs to sync together. This thing, LOD sync. LOD sync is pretty much implemented here to give you like a unified LOD system that then distributes out differently to like all the different meshes. And so you kind of have that here where it's like, okay, here's the 4 body LODs and the 8 head LODs. And so you can match up the topologies and stuff like that. So that's kind of helpful. I just pretend like LODs don't exist because it would further massively complicate what I have to do. But I'll probably get there eventually. So this is LOD. See, now the hand's starting to get simple, right? It's like, that's kind of the hand topology I was going for. So how many cylinders, or how many, is this 8 around? Let's see, 1, 2, 3. This is the file I was needing to look at when I was doing this. Yo, I hit F and it's like, it's going to like a really weird place even though I have this selected. Oh, it's going to be so hard to tumble around this finger. God, why? What's happening? It should tumble around this when I hit F. Oh, there it kind of goes. No, it's not. What are you tumbling around? It's like tumbling from down there. Anyway, I suspect there's about 8 faces here. 10. Okay, so it's 10. So in LOD 1, it's 10 around. And so like this topology is close to what I got to. And if you look at the two, yeah. Oh, this is, damn, I like got this right though. Like if we go look at my hand topology, I basically forced these 2 in between, whatever, these 2 polygons between each finger. That's what I did. I have like a whole stream on it. And then, yeah, you loop them around and then this one loops. Wait, this one loops. Oh, this one just dies. Oh. Okay. Well, theirs is different. So they keep this one, the loop stays on the finger. This one goes back to the wrist. This one goes around the finger. This one goes around the finger. And so that's what I was guessing at. But like now we're going to next time I do this, I'm going to match the MetaHuman way. Then it was, okay, back to the wrist, in the finger. I would never have guessed this. Back to the wrist again. Jeez, where does this loop to? Oh, it doesn't. Oh my God. It doesn't loop at all. Jeez. That's super weird. But I ended up with my own weird pattern of looping things. This one loops inside of it, but these ones go back around. Jeez. Anyway, like it would probably be reasonable to take this LOD. This one's pretty good. This is 10 around. I was doing 8. I did 8 and 10. So this is very close. I pretty much modeled the LOD1 body hand. What's up, John? So that's kind of cool. And I did it based on triangles and just like looking at stuff. Let's look at Lod 2. So this is the Lod 2 version of it. And how many fingers? What are we around here? 7. Weird. So this is like, I would say like this level of topology, minus the feet, is, oh, now you can really see the loop dance here. It's even triangulated at this point. This is like what most game characters are like this level of topology. Like this is what you mostly see out there for me, like on the marketplace, in general, like game developer world. Like this one's a little bit higher. This is more like MetaHuman Lod 1. But if you see a lot of game art out there, a lot of it's about here. I guess especially if it's more stylized, right? This one we can also start to see the loop pattern. Is basically like a normal, like I would just call like a Ziara mesh, but then they came in, and this is how you model wrinkles too, is that you do this triangle thing at the end, and then you put a mid one, and you pull up, you make a little mountain, right? Like if you put a loop through here, but you can kind of see like this is just normal, like this is the arm intersection here, so the star's in the armpit. Ooh, that's interesting. But then they have these like kind of support loops for what would then be like different size breasts. Like you could basically take this and like extrude it out. So that's like their support geometry at Lod 2. And then the fingers are at 7. And then, yeah, okay. This is just chaos. So we have like a star with 5 points to deal with like the wrist. Wow, they got this to 4. So they reduced this bottom part. Is that the half cut? Let me see. How many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that the halfway point? So they're doing 5 on top or 5 on bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So at Lod 2, which is pretty low, my brain kind of works at this level. Like I work at like when I'm modeling things, my brain kind of works at like Lod 2. This is like good for me. Like it's a little bit more than 8 around, but not much more. So they're doing 10. So they did 10 around for the wrist, and I would guess it's 10 around for the legs too. 12. Okay, 10 to 12. Yeah, 10 to 12 is like anything higher. My brain starts to not be able to like. I can't see that. It's like 16. Like I don't know what that looks like, but I can kind of feel out 8 to 12 is fine for me. And then if we go to Lod 3, like the lowest body one, the hands become gloves, which is pretty funny. And let's see, how many is this? 7. Okay. I would never have thought 7, but okay, apparently that's fine. And 8. This is like when I start, and you know what they do? I always put like a line straight down the middle. They actually put the polygon when it's an 8 set around on the middle. That's not how I thought this was going to be. What's the name of the MOCAP suit I own? It's called Vicon. Does I has it? So this is Vicon Shogun. If you see it up there, it's called Vicon. I don't know if I have any things about it, but it's Vicon. So this is somewhat enlightening as far as the base topology of the MetaHuman. And I think that it's important. Even the way that they did this is pretty interesting. It's important because if I'm gonna make skins for them, which is what I'm gonna do this year for Cinetracer, is that we kind of want to match it, and if we don't, there has to be like a pretty damn good reason to not match it. Because if you match the topology, the copy skin weights onto the skeleton will work. It'll just look better. And so the further you go from it, the less it's going to work, and the more manual you're going to have to do it, and the more, in the end, the more animation issues that will come up. Especially if you're doing like active things like this, like these type of things, and so the better I match it and the better I understand that where to deviate and why, the better. So this is pretty interesting. I have never made a skeleton. I've never made a model that looked like this, but they're still preserving this cut. It's kind of interesting. So I'm going to break this model because I don't care. I don't know if I can move this actually. Let's see what happens. I'm going to turn these all on and kind of look at them next to each other. I don't know if I'm going to move. No. So I don't even know if I trust saving as this file, to be honest, because this file is insane. But I just want to look at the body LEDs all at once and like print it out and stick it on my wall. And then I think there's skeleton LEDs, but I'm going to pretend like that doesn't exist because that's too much right now. From Bridge, yeah. Oh yeah, that's the full rig. It's the full rig, but like broken layout. I just want to look at the topology of the bodies because again, I think it informs the, the Z8 fans are on, dude. I can't work with this Maya file. Look how hard this Maya file makes my computer work. Are you serious? Like, this is crazy. Just saving this file is this hard. Like, this is how old VFX feels usually. Like non-real-time stuff. Like when things are not meant to be like runtime. It's like, oh, you wanted to move the elbow? We'll come back in an hour. That's like old school VFX. That's my impression of it. It's like, oh, you want to see how this looks with lighting on it? Pff, you better spin up the farm. So I'm gonna unbind all these in like probably an unorganized way. I'm gonna unbind these. I just want to look at the pure geometry. There's the combined, by the way, which is what we're really here for. But I'm like, I don't know. I'm here to learn and do it better next time, basically. So we have LOD 0. Very hard to author at this level, I think. I think it's hard to control, though I guess if you just smooth it technically, but I don't think so with hands. I don't think you're just dropping a smooth modifier. I think this is very precisely topology down there. Unbind. Crash. No, is it going to be okay? Okay, there we go. Yeah, I just want to see these LEDs together. This one. I don't care about the head. The head's just a mystery. We're going to pretend like the head's a black box because what's happening in here is insanity. Like, it's not something I ever really need to understand. I'm not trying to modify that. The body, though, I need to kind of get on with it. Unbind. This is LOD2, I think. Wait, 1. That's 0, 1. This one is 2. I think I can hit G. This is 2. And this one's 3. So I kind of want to hide all the heads. Which one's this? Who's this head group? I think I can just go like that. The slippers. I don't want to, well, it doesn't really matter at this point. So did these all get pulled out of their groups? No, I'm going to pull them out. So shift P them out into the open, and then we can hide everything else. So this is now completely broken. This file is going to use this at this point. Other than, I can get rid of these lights too, probably. Being able to study the topology of the old body here. So let's give them an even number. What is this? This is 1. Am I keyframing? Why is it blue? No, it's just selected. So if we do like 120 between them, that should work. Can you do expressions in Maya? Garbage, you serious? You can't do expressions in there? You must be able to. I mean, with all like the Python programming that happens in here. That's crazy. That's crazy. Is this the bridge file? Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know what's happening on your laptop that you can run this Maya file. This thing destroys my. I mean, it gets it done, it runs, but opening it and spinning it up and like caching it to memory, like, it's insane. It's very heavy and very long. It works to run it, but like loading it was like crazy. So even saving this, it's like what? I'm writing to M.2s. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Also, apparently my computer downstairs is Maya 22.3, and this one's Maya 22.1. So what the hell? How come they're not the same? The heads, we don't care about the heads, man. The heads are black box. We don't want to think about I don't want to think about what's happening in there. It confuses me. I don't want to think about it. We just let the head be like whatever through lateral and Cubic want to do with the head. That's up to them. I'm never going in there. I'm never touching that stuff. I take it back. You know, you go into the head if you need to do like, so say you wanted to give the MetaHumans a nose ring. Well, how do you bind that? Because the nose is moving all over the place. How would you put a nose ring on the MetaHuman? So that's, or an eyebrow ring, right? Or like something on the face that needs to move with it, then you got to start to deal with it at level. But for me, I'm just not doing that. Do the body first, and then I'll be ready for the head. So this is pretty cool for me. I spent like kind of like, yo, why are they floating? In the Maya file, did it put the sandals at 0? Because that's not how they come into Unreal Engine. This is concerning, actually. How come this is not how the Unreal Engine blueprint works. The feet are always at 0 and the shoes go under, which is why I rigged them separate. I rigged them differently in Maya. This doesn't make sense. This makes me really concerned about rigging back to this because the feet should be on the ground. This has the offset of the shoe. If you go get the skeletal mesh in Unreal Engine, it doesn't do this. This is going to be right there. I mean, go fucking look at it. Like, so there's things there's like assumptions I'm making for sure about this that are probably wrong. Probably wrong. So you'll get the preview mesh. How about that? Bring this back in. And it's the only way you get through, like, you know, proving this stuff out is to go do it and rig it and be like, oh no, never mind. I thought it was this and it is not. And then it's trying to figure out why. Anyway, this floor is false though. You can't really, this floor is generated because it doesn't exist. I'm pretty sure it's right here. The root, oh, where's the skeleton? Yeah, let's grab the root bone. Yeah. It's right there. So if we go front view in here. Yeah, here we go. Well, the root bone is right at the bottom of the foot, which has been a problem. When you're retargeting other MOCAP, you have to like, we got to bring up the feet out of the ground because of their shoes. Here, at least the null of this mesh is there. You know, it's the mesh. I bet the skeleton's actually fine. I take it back. Because we've unbound this, this is now not viable for skinning. because it transformed it. If we when it was skinned, I think the feet were there, so I'll take it back. I think that's what it is, because that doesn't even, it's if we had skinned this file, when we unparented it, it like popped them off the ground, whereas I bet the root bone is still right there. I'm guessing. I could reopen it, but that would be my guess at this point. I need to like print this out. Maybe in like a square, to be honest, would be more useful. Like, or even more useful would be like, you know, to make it the background of my phone. Like I'm not like just absorb it by just having it be in my subconscious. But, you know, when it comes to like, I think like ZBrush, however you're gonna make your clothing, this is the guide. You're basically looking at it. And so what would be nice is to go through and highlight or section off in colors the common pieces. But there's actually a pretty big disparity between, they kind of jump. So these ones are kind of similar. Like if we look at like the lower body, I'm just gonna start sectioning these. What's kind of interesting is this, and I'm not looking at the skeletons, but I almost guarantee you there's like a bone right here or something that this loop exists on like the low end of it. Look at these shaders that they create. It's like, what the fuck? I'm gonna use a Lambert. So let's do legs. Make the legs blue. So looking at this LOD, what the fuck? Just like this one. Like there's this, ooh, a triangle too, ouch. Like immediately into a triangle. There's this right here. Can I control plus? I think that's the move, control plusing. I gotta go look on the butt, how the butt's going down, but anyway, it's basically like this. And then the foot is maybe here. Maybe it's one down. And let's go look at the back of this thing real quick. Oh, what are you pivoting on? What the hell? Like the F doesn't work right now. Oh my God, what are you pivoting from? So, I mean, what's the thought on this? Oh my God, it's rotating from the wrong point. This is driving me insane. I swear, if you hit F, it's supposed to freaking tumble from your selection origin. I don't know what's going on with that. Anyway, there's this butt cut here, and my stuff doesn't have this. And so it not having it, you know, if we were like focusing on like witcher butt here, oh no. What the fuck? What the hell? This is top, isn't it? Normally, what did I do? I was looking at this. Oh, Maya's freezing. Oh, that skeleton. My fans turned on trying to touch that skeleton. It was like, yeah? No. Oh, did I lose the selection? Sad. Anyway, where's my Unreal Engine? Oh, this here. I didn't put that topology on the butt, so I bet you there's issues like when I jump. Or if I had squatted down, I didn't do any squatting down. Oh, don't tell me we have the double transform error. I don't think I do. But anyway, if we were in a place where we cared about how this came out, see, this is kind of low poly too. Look at this beautiful shot of this man's ass. Spin this shit. Like, I don't know. There's got to be like, you're gonna need it for certain deformations because they put it in the who cares about this LOD? Like this LOD is like when there's like, it's like a crowd. You know, this is like in the Matrix game when there's like 100 of these in there, like in the background. This is the geometry it's using, and they still put loops on the ass. You know what I mean? It's like that. There's a reason. I wonder. Like, should I always go for this? Like when it comes to the retopo. So basically right at the waist intersection, it's like what is that even doing? So that gives you this is how you model a fold. So it's basically this row of verts here. Actually, like these two, basically these two verts, and these two verts allow you to have like a bigger butt. That's kind of what's going on. So they're still part of the legs, but it's kind of something to consider when you're making the topology for these things down here. And then there's nothing crazy under here. Damn, I wish that stupid tumble worked. But there's not much happening under. Well, I guess if I'm cutting through here, we're saying that all of this is part of... It's kind of like part of the torso. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, my phone's going crazy. What the fuck? Oh, I see. So what is... Oh, no. What? I wish I could tumble correctly. What is this? So I don't know how it loops to the back. So we're kind of saying that like this doesn't this goes into the body, but at this point we go into a bit of a triangle situation. So that's kind of like the legs, and then we consider this as like kind of back crotch or butt. Oh my god, fucking Maya, what's going on here? That's like butt basically, and this is like like, you know, the end of the torso into the crotch has this very specific, like there's a triangle there, like that's weird situation. So it's like these are the legs, and then this is torso, like torso into crotch, and then god, I wish this rotate would work. What is going on with this? Hold on. Where's like your origin? Your origin is there. What the hell is this? Like, what? Why isn't this pivoting? Oh, you know what? They probably changed it in the Maya file. I want to orbit around center, around that thing. Is it a setting that got changed because of this? This is a generated Maya file. This is not a stock one. So it's a preference thing. What crazy person would change this? I know. I have two suspects who I know probably changed the damn settings in here. Don't do that. I need to orbit around this jam, so it's gonna be in here somewhere. That's what it is. This is like Unreal Engine look controls right now versus CAD style transforms. It's gonna be like camera controls or something. Cameras? Is it? Nah. I've never had to change this. I could just like reset to default. Can you do that? I don't know if that's a good idea, considering how much crazy shit's happening in this Maya file. I kind of want to restore default settings because this view is making me crazy. Fit to view on change. Use animated transition. What the fuck? Oh, I like the cube. I want that back. How do you switch to like? I'm gonna be doing a lot of Maya, so I need to know how to do this. Maya change camera tumble. It's usually called tumble. These are probably, I don't know if this is it. We'll find it. Tumble. View camera tumble tool. Tumble options track. Tumble. It's tumble options for sure. Where is this? View camera tools tumble tool. So it's not in here. View? Is there a view? Where's this is this? I forget. Camera settings. Oh, I wonder if it's one of these. Camera tools. Okay, tumble tool. Give me this thing. Oh, it's over there. Center of interest. Damn it, that's what I wanted it to be. What's reset look like? Damn it. Okay, now this is wrong. I want this to tumble around here. So, annoy. Center of interest. That's it. What about this? Let me try this. No, it's like pivoting. It's like it's taking the camera and it's panning and tilting itself. It's not what I want. Yeah, this is not the behavior. So it's definitely the tumble tool, but something's wrong with this. It's that Maya file that comes out of Bridge has like really hard to use controls. Mouse customization. Okay, dare I hard reset it? Anyway, it makes it very hard to tumble because it's like, what the fuck? It's like literally just it's like panning the camera itself, which that's awful. Oh my god, this is unusable. This is so bad. Oh, this is how Unreal Engine transforms work, but it's not good for 3D modeling. Oh my god, there's definitely a way to change it. I don't know where it is. Damn it. I feel like if I reset this, there might be something that's related to this Maya file. That's a bad idea. But fuck it. Oh my god. Oh, what just happened? Shit's like super crazy now. What the fuck? Oh, wait a minute. What the hell just happened? Oh my god. Oh my absolute god. What the fuck is this file? Okay, this is on some like crazy mode. Let's just take these things out of here, man. This is awful. This file is set up something absolutely weird for like, I'm sure a reason, but beyond me at this point. Let's get out of here. I'm just gonna put it right in here. MetaHuman body LODs. This is FBX, yeah. This is some crazy shit. I can't deal with this. Yeah, the constraints. Okay, so this is something else I couldn't figure out, but anyway, I'm in LOD study mode anyway, so please be normal. Please be normal. I'll factory reinstall this whole Maya thing again. Like, I don't care. Oh, thank God. There it is. This is what we wanted. My goodness. That did something full crazy. There's some very precise settings for that Maya file. I couldn't run far enough from it though. It makes it very hard to use for me. Gimme. Now, what's gonna come with this? This is interesting that it's taking so long. There's something in those skeleton files that is like 10 times bigger than it should be. Like something else comes along, and this has been an issue for me in Shogun. See how long that took? That doesn't make sense. Okay, so first of all, they're coming on their face like this. Now, this is possibly too because of, we pulled them out of the... Oh, to bring them in separately? That's nice. Something with skeleton orientations, and I don't know what, and I don't know. But like the fact that they're face down, something's kind of funny. I don't know why though. It's something like function button or the home button or alt or home. I just want to be out of that file because that file is crazy. In a good way. Like, they got it all working and it like needs to be a certain way and cool, but I don't want to deal with that. So what's forward in Maya? I forget. It's what's forward axis? I don't remember. Like Unreal Engine forward is X positive. Right is Y positive, I think. And Z positive is up. But in Maya, I don't remember. Do you know why? Because I always import a MetaHuman and like that's the axis we work off of. I almost never do it from scratch unless I'm doing what's it called? Unless I'm doing environmental modeling, like I'm making chairs or something like that, then I'll kind of sort that out. This is a fresh Maya install. Let me fix my grid. My grid looks absolutely ridiculous. Let's do 1,000. Nope. Oh, I didn't hit apply. There we go. Then we'll do 100, and then we'll do 10. Axes are black. Grid lines are I forget what color I do my grid lines, but I'll just pick one now. Gray. Yeah, that works. That works pretty well. Okay. So now we're like, if you work in, I like base 10. I've seen a lot of like Epic Games projects are base 5. I can't work at base 5. That's just, the math's too hard. I work base 10 centimeters. So this is like the perfect base 10 centimeter grid if you're doing environmental. I like this one. Okay, so here we go. Same dance again. So the goal is to get to like kind of understand like the must-have topology cuts and see how they kind of evolve or go away possibly for the different LODs. So we're starting with like hopefully I can tumble now. Oh my God, thank God. So, okay, so we've kind of isolated that there's this very specific loop here that gives you this kind of cut for the legs. Like the legs go up here and it wraps to like the outer butt, but the inner butt where like you would model these out, which that's something to work. I'm like, maybe we'll do eventually is like actually like give him bigger muscles and see how that goes. The problem is if you do that, you have to move the helper bones and then you have to reauthor the pose acid. So it's like, like that's a lot of work. But as I go deeper into modifying metahumans, it's something I'm basically ramping up to. You have to understand this very well to attempt that and have it still work. So because of this cut here, I've isolated just the legs, and then as you trace these quads 1 2 3 4 around 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 into the butt, it ends up back here like here, and it's not as clean. Like this one looks right, like it looks like a bathing suit. This one's like but this is the topology they need to have the different size metahumans, so that's in there for like a reason. So next is to find where they're cutting off the arms. It's clearly like right here. I say that though. Here, let me switch back to this. This one. Okay, let's save this file. I'm gonna like print this out as like a poster and put it in front of my wall. What are we fucking doing here? Oh yeah, we're in Maya. This is like insane. Yeah, we'll save from Bridge. Just say MetaHuman body LODs. The face, there's 8. So no one's getting into all 8 of these unless you work at 3 lateral. Like no one, like, you know, like that's insane. Like this I can kind of break down, but the face topology over 8 LODs, that's crazy. I think you need to click on the Alt at some point to pivot. Nah, there was something super weird, but maybe it is something that Alt plus Home resets the camera. Oh, well, that's good to know for the future. There was other things wrong with that. It went straight to the MetaHuman, but anyway, that file had a lot of stuff going on. And so there's something else also happening with these meshes. These meshes are not normal. You can tell by how hard it was to and what's this PSD node? I see that. I don't know what that is. Anyway, this is all going to end in me reskinning something and trying to send it back. Okay. Yeah. So then we got some stuff in here. Oh, are these just shaders? Was it rebuilding shaders? Because like that import shouldn't, if it's just mesh, it shouldn't take that long. But I didn't bring the skeletons. So there's some other issues that happen when I bring the skeletons with them, but I'll deal with that in a bit. So working at like this low Lod, it's like, where is the ring of like where's like the loop, right? Where it's basically here, like that. So that's the arm cutoff point. So let's go get that. Yoinks. And I also kind of want to, I'm going to make a drawing where a graphic where it's like how many polygons are around the leg, the chest, and the arm. Because when I go to do, so if you were to author like a full, like, and put it on like the marketplace, for instance, if you were going to author a MetaHuman garment, like a t-shirt, you need to deliver all 4 of these. And they have to rig to their appropriate skeletons perfectly. So it's like you kind of want to match this exactly. So you kind of, so it's like, where do you start, right? If you're going to author a shirt at all 4 lots, do you start high poly and then retopo down like this? Or do you start base and like, which way do you go? Like, I still don't really know for myself. I'm like, oh. Okay, so the hands is a whole different story. We're going to call the hands like here, right? That's probably where the hand cuts off. And you can see it here. So even on this base topology, if you look at the wrist, they reduce it on this case here. But they basically have to reduce, like, you care about how many polygons are around the arm, because the hand has to reduce the polygons from the fingers to match it. And then where's the strategy? And where do they do that? You know, as far as like keeping a clean deformation in the end. There's probably like a clever grow selection trick when you have like 2 loops like this selected, but I'm just gonna go get them like this. Oh, I'm gonna lose this selection, aren't I? I'm gonna lose it. Whatever. Okay, well let's make all the materials I need. Oh, let's delete all these crazy materials. Oh, they're gone. Okay, good. They're mostly gone. Get rid of all this shit. Let's just force Lambert onto all of these. I'll just do the legs again. I don't want any of these extra things. It was this DX11 shader is what took so long. I'm just going to overwrite everything. And there's like a delete unused or something in here. I thought. Delete unused nodes. There we go. Okay, now we're getting back to like clean Maya file. How that crazy shit in here. Let's get this one over here. I'll just do the legs again. So having gone through like a retopo myself of a MetaHuman, it would have been nice to start with this study, but I kind of have like a framework of like what I will change now based on what I'm going to find out right here. So I was taking kind of like generic, like, oh, I lost the node. I was taking like kind of generic subdivision surface modeling techniques and like applying them to the MetaHuman, and it's not quite that textbook. So we're going to do, let's do torso. I guess we'll do this in order. Mat 1, torso, that's Toros. Torso. Mat 2, arms. Mat 3, hands. mat for legs and again, I guess feet. The feet topology I'm not all that worried about, though I guess if I ever, oh my god, make like toe socks or something, then I would have to start to really consider how they did the foot topology. I guess I'm kind of interested. Feet. So let's break these up and look at how the topology lines happen. And then there are some like things you can do with like in Maya from a display point of view to make like certain edges thicker. I think if I like cut the seams, then you can see it make the edges thick or something like that. There's something if you're doing like a lot of modeling, you'll start to modify those type of things. So we'll say torso, arms, hands I want to be orange for some reason. Orange is 30. Legs, green. And then feet, we'll make them cyan. Okay. I want this for me. You have to work, so can't watch. Okay. You still made the item. Underlining clothing physics in the end for cinematic purpose. If I found it's useless, only MD simulation will make bakes come close. Yeah. No. Unreal Engine physics is meant for runtime. It's not meant for cinematic. The cinematic physics goes like absolutely insane. They're working on it. They're making a new version. Or they have been for quite a while. It's the chaos physics version of it. In my experiments with it lately, I just don't use it. I just skin it. And yeah, you kind of have to be a little bit crazy to use it. I think for the most part, you skin clothing and you hand animate it to have absolute control over it. Unless it's like the cape or something that you're okay with it going just like absolutely wild and random and jumpy and flippy, then you skin it. You put bones in the cloth and you freaking animate it, so you have actual control over it. So these are legs, and I'm in The Witcher. I'm in Skellige, and so you get the Ursine armor, which has like the 4 cloth, like has like a skirt situation that has like 4 parts to it. And it's a cloth sim, and that shit is going crazy the whole time. Like, and you can see it resetting itself over and over again. Like when you like pull up into a cinematic, and if you're slightly off, like if your game body is in a different place than the cinematic body, you see it lerp to the cinematic point, and then reset the cloth. So you start the cinematic, and the Geralt's cloth just goes like poof, like it explodes for a second. So it's pretty gross. It's pretty bad. But for like, like a video game, strictly a video game, it's like, whatever. Like you let it, you don't really care. But yeah, even Witcher 3 has pretty sketch moments from like cloth rigging, and people who have like beautiful cloth rigs, they're all hand animated basically. Oops, for a game. For movies, I guess you could do like more hardcore sims. Though I still feel like how did they, like the Encanto skirts that are like going down, like I saw one of the lead animators posted their like work in progress, and it was like a guy, like I forget what he was wearing, but he was doing like all the reference stuff himself. Oh god, thanks. I'm so glad that this tumbles normally. But I guess he didn't talk about like how he actually animated the skirts. I feel like that can't really be like an actual full simulation because they grab it. They were like dancing with it, so I don't know. That's high-end stuff though. I'm pretty happy with real time. I don't need to go into like the full simulation, because then you never finish your projects. Your projects take years to finish. I don't want them to take years. I want to make a project a day. That's my goal. Once I have this whole pipeline set up, I can just bang out short film every single day, no problem. Dialogue, multiple people, not an issue. I want to go idea to finished piece in like that same day. Anything less is unacceptable. Maybe 2 days. Bonk, bonk, bonk. And then I make that a game called Cinetracer. That's gonna take still years for me to get to that point, I think. Arms, toe socks, yeah. That's all we need. How to stop poke through? You just don't do it. You just don't do simulated cloth. Just don't do it. Animate it. That's the only possible way to do it. Yeah. In-game cloth physics ain't supposed to be like, it's just not art directable. And if I don't know. It's good for capes and loincloths, but then even then it goes absolutely crazy, you know, if you like, you know, move too quickly, it hits a certain tolerance and it just like does weird crazy physics thing. It's like Gary's mod of like, you know, cloth. It looks like it too. So I guess it depends on like what level of like suspension of disbelief your audience is at. If they're like, oh, okay, that's fine. It's okay if like that the cape is just flipping out like crazy. In like an actual video game, no one cares because they're just trying to like keep the center screen dot on the enemy. They don't care about the cape. It's like, you know, full peripheral vision. So this is the torso. Because here's the thing: these might be the base meshes I start with my sculpts from now. Because they're perfect. Like basically, like at this point, I could be wrong about like how strict I'm thinking doing this. It's like we don't move a single vert unless you really have to. Because basically, if I skin this back, if I skin this transfer weights back to the MetaHuman body, it's the same mesh, you know. So it's like you're gonna get free weighting. So like you only like move it a little bit if you really need to. If there's like actual perceivable value in like the final mesh, would I move anything? Because otherwise it's like fucking up the rig. Like really minimal changes to this topology basically. Hands. Okay, so that is you know what, and there is kind of like a sub color here. Actually, I want the hands, I want to highlight the breast area because it's different and it has triangles in it. Like you wouldn't normally put I would not normally put triangles into like a base mesh like this. It would just like straight across, but they've done it. I guess I have been making female characters. That's probably why. If I've been making female characters, like, oh, of course, like these are the two faces that come out. So I kind of want to call these out too from a topology point of view. We could do like, what color haven't we used yet? We'll find out. So this is matte. The butt might need this too, depending on how the loops go in the butt. I will go see. This is matte 6. Pierced breast. What time is it? I gotta go for a drive in a little bit. Okay, not yet. Blue, I guess, or cyan, pink, magenta. I don't know how it doesn't need to be like massively contrasty. It just wants to be like a little bit different. So these ones, I missed the corners and this. Yeah, and then it's like it's not a normal quad loop actually. It's like this is kind of a quad loop, but the loop goes into the neck, and this is a right angle. So it's pretty interesting, and like that's kind of an odd gun right there. And then triangles here, man, they go straight to triangles. They don't give a fuck. That's because this is like for rigging. It's not like we're not going to ZBrush from this mesh, you know. Like I don't know. This is more a topology. This is more for like rigging than it is for like. You wouldn't base mesh that one. Maybe this one. This one looks like it's actually all quads. Like they have regular loops. Yeah, so this one's like super weird. Like super weird. And has triangles in it. I hope this one doesn't. And I would assume this one doesn't either. I would assume this has no triangles, and I assume this has no triangles. Actually, we can find out with the cleanup mesh tool in Maya. But these low poly ones, like I author my clothes like this usually. Like this is like the LOD I usually get my stuff through. And it's like unavoidable basically. It seems like to have triangles at a certain point. But this one's super weird. To stick triangles there, it's very odd. I think. I'm sure it's like awesome. It's like the best way to do it, but I don't normally do it like that. Can you guess what LOD they did the initial bind on? You have to do it for all of them. And I think the skeletons are different. I think. I don't know that actually. I don't know if the helper bones get stripped out. I'm not sure. I'm just looking for like... Actually, this is like intense. This is kind of like scary. I kind of like Lod 1. Like I can see... Like I think this is about the level that I finished my MetaHuman stuff at. Like this is like... Like if you took this and you just hit smooth, like is this... Like if I smooth this, is that this? That's what I would hope. Because like that's not by hand, is it? Like that's like insane. Like, is this that now? We'd have to do like a vert comparison. Maybe. It looks like it is. Like that one's just got smoothed out. So if that's the situation where like you can author, I can author to this level, kind of. It's kind of hard. But I wonder, I don't think this is a smooth of that. Like this does not smooth to this because of the triangles. I think this is the one for me. And this is a smooth. I think my guess is that, and I'm probably wrong, this is more like how I'd want to do it. I think we would go to Lod. This is 0, 1. We would do everything into Lod 1. And then it's hand retopology down. And to go up is a smooth modifier. And you would copy skin widths from this to this one. But we have this one to work off of. But there's a chance that like I would always work at Lod 1. Which is kind of like the topology of the base preview mesh is like around here. Like this is like VFX level. This is getting like kind of insane. But it looks like it's just a smooth. Which is why this is a good base mesh, because like this would go to ZBrush really nicely, this one. Quads, it's smooth nicely to this. Whereas these, you can't use these as base meshes. They have triangles and they're kind of weird. But it does give you like a nice like overview of like, okay, I'm assuming this cut lives the whole, always there. That's always there. This is always there, but it resolves into quads nicer. But anyway, that's what the study is about. I would think this. I like this Lod 1 body a lot. Like I think making clothes starting from here is a really good idea. I think copy attributes from this exact hand topology. Actually, we could take out the fingernails. We could technically take out these fingernails for like most gloves, right? You wouldn't need that. But you could just leave it too. I don't know how easily they reduce. But next time I make a glove, I'm basically just going to like chop off this and not ZR mesh or anything. Just take that actual topology. No, I don't work for a studio. I'm my own itty bitty game development studio. Okay, so I'm gonna start cutting this shit up. See if we can follow the same lines. These ones are hand decimations or whatever. Like they like went back to like really low and then they cut in these like must-have ones or something like that. I don't know. But based on this, I'm gonna probably work off of this one because it's all quads, and we can go up or down really easily. We can go up to ZBrush or up to Lod 0. These are kind of useless from that point of view. But they give you guides for like if you want to start authoring MetaHuman clothes, you kind of have to follow this topology, especially here. I think. So that cut happens like this. Is the like kind of unique part of it. Oh no, to the MetaHuman butt. Yo, go back though. Okay, here we go. Okay. This is interesting. I definitely did not consider this when I was making my my stuff. Right, so is that the match? Yeah, it is. And so these aren't smooth. These are like I don't know. But like, so say you want to do like MetaHumans mobile or something like that, or like VR, you're working with this one. Probably you're not gonna work. I mean, maybe this one, but this needs to be like a 1K texture, and you're gonna work with this this topology. So this one's probably relevant to a lot of developers. Is this Lod level, Lod 0, 1, 2, probably quite relevant. And then here's the butt cut out. It's kind of like I don't know if that's the same. Is that the same over here? It is. Yeah, you see the whoop. That's the higher quadded version of it. Oh no. Oh, come on. This is like a much more, for me anyway, like a much more approachable topology, this one. But it's not quads, so it's not very good for sculpting. Like you don't easily jump up the sculpting. This is just like you're just done with the mesh at this point. You're just like, that's what's going into Unreal Engine. But you're not like seamless. Oh my god. You're not seamlessly going back and forth with the sculpting. I also wouldn't. I mean, it would be fine, but I guess you have to. If this is the final game mesh, you would have to take this to Substance Painter too, but I'd rather not. I still like staying quads as much as possible. Maybe that's not needed though. It's a control shift. Where the socks? I mean, I don't know how many. I don't know what where's this terminating? It's here, I guess. I don't think this one's as important. I'm not doing what I said I should and keep the skeletons, because I should be looking at the bone orientations, because you know what it is. Like the foot bone is probably like here, or is it there, or is it here? I bet it's here. But anyway, like these cutoff points are all based on bone placements. I bet. So I'm just looking at it from a pure topology point of view, but there might be certain things where it's like, okay, it's more obvious if you can see the skeleton. LOD1 is the master properly. Yeah, it seems like it. Can I grab these base meshes from the MetaHuman UE5 demo? No, these meshes you need to have Maya, like full Maya. It can't even be like Maya LT. And then they're free, but you have to have Maya to get them. You basically export a MetaHuman to Maya, and you get this stuff. Which is the feet, this one. Okay. These hand ones look like they're the arms look like they're cut off in the same place. So here, is there like I guess how would it know? So it's gonna be there then. It's basically where you see like a reduction happen, but it's still a line. So it's definitely that because there's no loop here. Hands are weird. Yeah. But they're consistently weird, right? It's like if you, especially with the this MetaHuman for me is like gonna be like the standard forever. I don't think there's anything that could pull me out of this. I don't know. It'd have to be like a government enforced avatar topology change for me to move away from basically how this is being done now. They're like, we're gonna kill you if you don't use a new standard. That's like pretty much it. Then I'd move countries. Okay. Gimme. Oh no. Oh no. It's control shift. Oh man, it was pain before that, whatever that like not default tumbling view was. I'm gonna bring that up next time there's a meeting. Like, who did this? What have you done? You're trolling the entire Maya community. Okay, let's do this. Red. So there's yeah, I don't know. I think the real study is the quadded version, because like there's something to say about this hand down here, but it's not really like it's when you're going to the final game, you know, when you're going back to the game engine and you're like, we're going for performance, right? You're like, where can I cut polygons? Because the face is a lot, right? It's like, where can I cut polygons on the body so the face can get big? And so you start to make decisions like this reduction here and then this reduction there. I don't like that. And I'm not really super concerned. Like, if you're a VR dev using MetaHumans, you should probably be, you know, it's like, this is probably how you should do it. Like, right? Because it's like your whole polygon budget for your VR game is right on the head. And then like your background is going to be like an image plane or something. So this is like a compromise, right? It's like, these are compromises to cut them like that. And like, I would rather not. And again, you can't send them back up to ZBrush. So like, I'm kind of ignoring these, but they're kind of helping to like, build up like the necessary cuts that are like being shown here. But I'm mostly interested in this next LOD1. That's the one I think I care about. And if I'm not mistaken, you just smooth it and it becomes LOD0. So we would try to do that with the clothing too. So if we did the topology in the right way here, if we wanted to go cinematic level, we just smooth it. So this is like sub-D modeling, I hope. So that's the study. That's the one that like someone like really thought about. Same with all of them, but it's like, nobody wants that. I don't want that. It's just like, oh, this is going to run better now. I should have made the torso the base one. So I'll do that for the next one. Yeah, because then by selecting the legs, I basically would have selected this. So I'll do that for the next one. Which is more important because there's a lot more polygons over there. Now, did I lose a row by accident? Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's 6 now instead of 4. No, we're good. We're fine. So this isn't gonna... Oh, that's a damn triangle. Now we're loops. Oh, what? It looped around that way? Okay, I have no idea what's going on here. This is actually wasn't what I was planning on doing. I was going to reskin it, but I kind of need to look at these. I'm going to reskin to Lod 1 now. That's kind of what I've figured out. Oh, and there's the combined LOD 0. I think that's a little intense, to be honest. Though that's the only one that's combined. We'll see. I'm going to look at that in a second. There's something weird that happened to the finger bones that like break all the MOCAP programs. None of them can look at it from what I've seen. Okay, so that's the torso. I don't know what though. And I'm trying to like clean them up in Maya, but I don't know what's wrong with them. Or, yeah, I don't know. I just read that Unreal Engine 4.27 uses FBX 2018 as well. Wait, 2018. Yeah, they use FBX 2018 as far as export transports. And I've seen people using 2019, and Unreal Engine defaults to 2013, but it's 2018 is the FBX standard of Unreal Engine 4.27, and I'd imagine 5. So there's things there too, like there's certain nodes that will not get carried through or read properly if you're using the wrong version. Okay. So those are the match of those two, I think. It seems thinner here, but if we look at like where the triangles come in, this is definitely the match. Just like that. What a lovely clown suit we've made. Okay, so but these are like compromises for like performance, right? But like this is like the one, and this one's just a smooth of this one. So this is the real one here. So let's do this and cut this thing up topology wise, and we're gonna probably base mesh all of our clothing based on this one because it's quads. But I just want to look at the topology. So clearly the line is right. Oops, it's here. Will this loop? Wait, does this loop? That's not how looping works, it turns out. It's this way. Okay. So where does that go? Okay, it doesn't loop. It ends up like in a bit of a funny way. So I'm just going to get it by hand. See, I would have like tried, it's like if I was going to try to pull this off on my own, I would have tried to like force this into a loop, but it doesn't have to. It kind of goes back into the body. So then, so the question is, where is that ending? Like, do you consider this part of it, or is it here? I can't tell. It looks like this is like its own loop that just like lives on its own. It's probably that, and then it's here. This is where the cut is. Yeah. Dude, imagine doing this without switching the modes. That crazy other camera. You know what's a bad color to make your mesh when you're doing this? Red, because this damn selection's orange. Can't see anything. Okay, so it's definitely not. It's I'm a row off. No. It's back here. I'm dead wrong. It's right here. It's this. Okay, do not make the mesh red. It's impossible to see. Big mistakes. Anyway, it's gonna make this whole thing harder. Do I just change it now or just deal with it? Probably just deal with it. Yeah, so that's the cut right there, right? Let me look at the other ones. Yeah, I was way off reading it. So it's way down here. So there's a lot in here now. And so it comes up over the hip. Well, you know what? Actually, it's a little different because like this one comes up all the way to like this loop here. And the first time you get a loop across is, well, let me check it. This might have a different idea. Like that's the first real loop. Otherwise, like this doesn't loop. This loops down. This is the first like belt loop, but it feels like it's a transition loop because like of how weird the shape is. So that's like the first actual one. But no, there's a very clear cut here. I'm gonna make this just the alt chest color. It's that. And so where is this leg? I can't tell. Like, is it really here? So like they give 2 rows to like the crotch area that flows in, whereas like here they didn't. It pretty much cuts at like a right angle, like boom, like this triangle. And this is that first crotch level, or the first waist belt loop. And this goes right to it. So the high poly one, I see it cleanly here. But it's kind of a different thought, the way that it's like, are these transitions? But it goes right into the crotch area. So I feel like it's here. So I guess like on this higher poly one, this crotch area gets an extra 2 loops. Basically, it's like the crotch area is much bigger. Like it got thicker. Like this doesn't, like there's no line here This doesn't exist on the lower poly ones. It just goes boom, like right into it. So that's one of the big topology changes for sure, is that I think the leg is still right here, like this. Okay, red is awful. I can't. So we gotta change this to just anything, like even if it's just like slightly different. What color haven't we used? We've used them all. Blue, hard blue, like pure blue, basically. Like 0, 0, 1. Okay, so this is somewhat better. And it's still legible down here. That's fine. Okay. Yeah. So basically in the quadded out poly version, I think that like the crotch now has like extra 2 loops there, and the leg is still right there. If you look at this point, like it's pretty much radiates out of here, and then there's another weird gone here, and it cuts across, and then this cuts across through here. Whoops, like that. This is like the leg. So there's basically more kind of support stuff. I could be wrong, and we'll see how it translates into the butt area. I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna cut it like this, and we'll see. So I'm not really exactly sure how the end is resolving, but I see this loop around here, so I'm gonna end there. So this is significantly more complicated in topology, but this lines up here, so it's a logical place to cut it. It's kind of like where underwear would be as well, like. Kind of, maybe it's a little bit close. Maybe the underwear would be like kind of like here. And from the front, if we kind of go with like the swimsuit thing again, like a woman's swimsuit, it would be like similar. They don't have like a line for it, but it's kind of that way. And then there's just like, it's like that, but then plus these 2 loops here are kind of new. And then on the bottom, it kind of doesn't matter. It's like whatever, like based on the bone. Actually, I guess it's a little bit more defined here. It's this one, because you can kind of see it start to get kind of weird here. Like this is like, I know, I feel like it's there. Seems similar. There's way more topology now. I don't see anything specific about the knee. Like there's no loop, you know what I mean? There's no like loop around like they do on like the fingernails, like this. You could do the same thing here for a knee if you cared, but they don't really do that. Oh, but there is one here. Okay, so here's a new loop. So for this calf muscle, so I bet you on the skeleton there's going to be a bone, a helper bone here, and when the leg bends, that helper bone moves out. And so they did this. They have this loop, but they don't have that anywhere else. So basically, the legs are basically just quads, like a cylinder, with a calf loop. That's pretty much it. So that's kind of a nice rest. So if you cared a lot, we would do that every time too. If it's like pretty skin tight, if it's you know, if it's not going to deform with that bone, then you wouldn't have to. This feels really weird to go here, but this is how the selection's worked out so far. It seems odd though. It's not something. Oh no. But we'll see how it works out. And so with this like drawn mesh, because I'm gonna basically work off of this one now. It's like definite. This Lod 1 is to then look at the skeleton and then look at like where the helper bones are kind of placed, and then look at the weightings. I'm not gonna do the higher poly one. There's no point. Actually, if I just smooth this one, that's what I would get. Oh, please don't lose selection when I open this. Okie dokie. And legs. There we go. And the feet are just like, yeah, okay. Feet. So I kind of want to differentiate where this loop is now. They're more separate than they were before. Like if we look here, there's like, it's like, oh, this is torso, this is legs. This is torso with the crotch getting kind of like one loop more. This is legs. But now it's not quite that simple. There's kind of like an extra section. It's more like these are legs, this is crotch, this is torso, I think is what's happening. So I feel like this is its own area that needs to be like thought about. Like, how does this loop? Yeah, see, that loops all the way around, kind of does something kind of funny back here, but that's actually kind of cool how it rejoins up like this. But I think that's the thing to call out, is that like this is actually now like a sub piece of the lower of the legs basically, and then the butt kind of like gets its own situation too. But this is what mostly matters, is like when we're retopping shorts and pants and armor. It's like, you know, if you're designing armor for the MetaHuman, you kind of want to start to, I would consider following these lines from like a design point of view in the front if you're designing armor. And also something to consider is like how far apart these verts are, because again, when you do like Marvelous Designer clothes and you try to retopo off of them or use that topology, you're gonna get like, you know, you would make pants and they're probably like here, and then when you simulate them, they're gonna hang like this or even be asymmetrical. So when you copy skin weights to them, you're not gonna have all this extra resolution. So your copy skin weights are gonna be awful, and I've kind of experienced that. And like if it's asymmetrical, it's like, okay, cool, you go to here, and so you're gonna end up with this like super broken under part. Whereas like I don't know, I'm not really sure. I'm gonna make a suit next, and I'll have to decide, like, I might just like copy this topology like exactly and then smooth it out, but smooth it out evenly and leave this kind of space here as much as possible to get a good copy skin weight, because otherwise you have to rig it by hand, like skin it. You're gonna have to grab rows of verts and skin like I'd like to get the easiest copy weight selection as possible. So I'm gonna cut the chest now. I could leave that blue, to be honest. But I think calling crotch and legs is important now. Like they have that topology in there. Yeah, let's see how this goes. The back are probably screwed up, yeah, for sure. I'll just take this whole thing for now, and then I'll cut it back. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we have the loop. So that's the chest. I made that like yellow or magenta. But this one of my, where's chest? Torso. Blue. Oh, it's already blue. Okay, good. Fair enough. I mean, technically this is part of torso. So I got to rethink about the colors. The color strategy worked out for these, but this one's like a little bit more nuanced. But this is the one. This is the real one. The other ones don't count, basically. Like, I'm probably never going to author anything at this level. Like, I'll be like, I mean, is there really a big enough difference that we would switch between these two? Not for me. I'm basically ignoring the Lods at this point. I'm not doing like anything where I'm like making games with there's like 100 people on screen. You know, then it's like, okay, the majority of them have to be this, or else you couldn't have that many people on screen anyway. So I think the easiest way to do this is to say like find the loop, which would be here, right? Because at that point, this loops this way and that way. It loops across and it loops down. Yeah, that's like the shoulder armor part at this point. So it's here and then down. So everything down. And we'll go take out the wrist later. The hand. Can I get this from here? Probably gonna end up with a little bit of shoulder. I'll just paint it. I could 100% turn on symmetry for this selection stuff. Make my life somewhat easier. But I kind of don't trust that tool sometimes. Oh, that's the Alt tab. The next is to look at the skinning, how these are skinned, because these loops are there on a purpose. Is that really it? Yeah, okay, so they really do end it there. So the cutoff of the arm is here. It's a little bit like, it's basically like the mid of the, what's it called, of the armpit. Like it's right up in the armpit. Like it's not on the arm. It's not like it's not the armpit. That makes sense. That makes sense if you're rigging, okay? Like, so like it could be cut here, right? And it's just the arm clean, but it really is the armpit line. And then it kind of wraps around like what I would call like mid shoulder, if that means like anything. But like this line is in the middle of where the armpit happens. Like the most creased part of the armpit is the line of the arm itself. So again, if you when you're simulating close in Marvelous, you're not getting that line. That's not going to be there. That's going to be like down like here. And so when you copy skin weights, you're going to get a disaster basically. And it's why like this skin type MetaHuman, when you bring his arm up, all this extra topology will stretch out and cover it up versus like the way the iRig mine doesn't have that. Where is my camera at this point? Like my stuff didn't have that. So it's like all over the place, like in a bad way. Where's the uppercut? Here it comes. Bam. So I did not like make room for that topology. So it's like just like stretched. So it's like I feel like, I don't know if I'm wrong about this. I think you want to author your clothes in T-pose. You don't want to author them in A. Like it doesn't work out. If you simulate your clothing in Marvelous Designer in A pose, you're going to end up with shirt geometry that's like down here. And so if you ever move your arm up, you'll never have the topology to hold it. So I feel like I'm going to take this and I'm going to put him in T-pose, make the clothes there, almost weight it there too, and then bring it back into A pose when I come back to the engine. Because otherwise there's no topology under the arm. And that's why there's all these issues. Like how could you ever model this, like this extra stuff in there? Especially if you're simulating it. And get good deformations with the hands up in the air. So there's arms. Looks exactly what I did for the sections to hide the skin parts. Oh, yeah. Oh, did you do that from the quadded one? I didn't know the quadded one existed. Because I didn't have full Maya. Oh, yeah, that's probably going to happen. I'm probably going to have to do something like that too. But here's the thing. That hidden mesh thing doesn't work if you're using ray tracing. I found out. I'd have to show like the other thing. So like this project doesn't have ray tracing, and there's a hidden body mesh in there. But what happens is when you turn on ray tracing stuff, that mesh pops out there and it shows up as black. It actually still casts a shadow somehow. It does something weird that this one doesn't have without ray tracing on. So it depends on how you're going to render it, but like that actually doesn't work super well in certain cases where the best way for all cases is to actually delete it. But deleting it doesn't work because like something happens to the something happens to the file. Like you can't just delete, or I don't know how to safely delete it and not get errors. Like if you just take the body mesh and then delete out faces and then try to send it back, it doesn't work. So there's like something else. There's like something in Maya that you have to do. Like you can come delete the faces and then like, I don't know, tell it to like refresh the binding or something like that. Because like a skin binding modifier is probably like vertice number 5,000 to bone 20 relationship. So if you start deleting stuff, all like the numbers get screwed up or something like that. Something deep FBX file. I don't know how to fix it. So it kind of works, but when I'm doing like high quality linear rendering, I use ray tracing stuff, and you can't do that. It actually shadows the body, which you can, if you watch my YouTube video, you can kind of see it every once in a while. If you see little dark patches on the body, it's actually the MetaHuman body popping out, but it's invisible and still fucking up the render. Meaning it would screw up in my game too. Though my current Cine Tracer is gonna have ray tracing on, but my next won't. So maybe it won't be an issue. We'll find out. So it's not that line, it's this line here. Meaning it's this line. Damn it, I should have done the wrist first. Well, I'll just go get it by hand. Yellow also kind of difficult to select. It's right here to this line. It's when this splits off into two. This is it going in two directions at once, and then you end up with another weird gun in here. Okay, yellow very hard to select against, and so is red. Oh, am I wrong? Wait a minute. No, it's down here. It's when this splits. Huh. Or maybe it's not symmetrical. Is that possible? Shit. It's Alt-Tab. Oh, weird. I was off. I'll see if this is true. But I don't remember having this hard of a time on the other hand. But it's clearly this is the last time that there's a quad loop is right there. So this is hands. I just haven't done the other side yet. I was like, how come this hasn't been a problem yet? It's somewhere around here. It's easier to tell here. So it's like, that's a quad loop most likely. So it's got to be this. that we can go check after. Yeah, that's the quad loop. That one. And this one. Yeah, this is 100% the topology we want to base everything off of. Quads, normals are probably really nice, and blah, blah, blah. Versus like trying to get to this hand mesh from ZR remeshing and ZBrush. No, it's not going to happen. Let's see here. What am I doing? Oh yeah, hands. So all hand MetaHuman gloves, you just start with this and you copy attributes. You shrink wrap it basically, like you would wrap a head for like custom MetaHuman head creation. Okay, so now I think crotch butt is basically the selection I'm gonna make next. That's kind of what's happening here. So this is, oh no. So we'll just do my hands. This is definitely torso. This piece. So we're gonna say torso. But now I'm gonna go hand select like crotch butt. So it's kind of like this is like the old crotch from down there. Kind of. But with like an extra loop. So it's kind of like this was like the old, this is like, that situation is the same as this one. Kind of. No, I guess not. No, I'm wrong. No, I'm dead wrong. I'm super wrong. Never mind. There's always been this like kind of extra loop around the leg. So I'm wrong. It's just like a little bit bigger here or something. Like this, it kind of, these two didn't exist, but these always have. And now there's more resolution, so it makes sense. But like this is that line that I think you need to kind of carefully preserve if you want, again, copy skin weights, and again, if you're relying on the helper bones. Because otherwise, you pretend the helper bones don't exist. Like if this was metal armor, or your legs were like, if the clothing was really far away from the skin, you wouldn't want to rig to the helper bones, because the helper bones are for skin. But they do I feel like they do work for like most clothes. But if they're the baggier the clothing, or the more like hard armor the clothing is, the less you want to rig to the helper bones, and the more you probably want to rig to the regular bones, maybe, or make your own helper bones and make your own pose drivers or post-process control rigs, either one. I don't know about the butt yet. I'm just gonna kind of like select it how it is, and then we'll see. Because I'm not sure like what is actionable about the fact that the butt has this. It does have this like line around everything that maybe is worth selecting. I don't know. Right, so you see we have like this like edge loop versus like that's a quad loop around the edge. Or like this is like a straight loop. This is like kind of like a, I don't know, going the other way. So this is if you're going to make like a swimsuit or something like that, you kind of need to consider that like there's helper bones in here deforming the butt around in a way that they modeled in this loop around the butt here. And also we're on like a kind of a skinny, not curvy dude, but like if you switch to like, I don't know, one of the curvier MetaHuman bodies, you know, probably the female one, this stuff is probably like pushed like way out. And so you just need this loop to kind of hold it. I don't know why. Or maybe this is a line where like my guess is that these lines, these quad rows are kind of landmarks when it comes to skinning. It's like, okay, at this line, this is what I'm hoping. It's like at this line, this helper bone gets 25% or something like that. Like it's there's got to be some logic to it. They didn't just like come in here and start like painting random ass weight paintings. It's I feel like it's got to be like, oh, at this line we're in spine 1. This line you're at the upper. Like I'm hoping for rules like that to become kind of like apparent for me. I'll make this also like that. It's not that they're like need to be properly labeled. It just needs to be that they're clearly separate. Okay, so this one is different, right? So if we look at these ones, they're like fully gated off from the chest. In the high poly version of it, they have the loops, but the loops feed all over the place. Like if the arm goes up, like this goes up, this part of the chest breast muscle, not like the fatty part, but like the muscle part, goes with it into like a triangle. And so like this line kind of holds that shape, but and then like if we're looking at like this first like loop here, it feeds into that muscle. So when this goes up, it's going to kind of deform like that too. Whereas they don't do anything like that for the bicep. The tricep is definitely has this kind of shape built into it, but no like loops or anything. But this is a little complicated. So like, I'm not even sure what there is to say about it, but there is definitely like, oh, here's a star, right? So like basically at this point, it's kind of something to call out, but I'm not sure that I would put it into clothing. But maybe it is. Like if this is a female and they had like, you know, larger breasts, it's like, so like, you know, like where do you start to modify the topology to account for that? Or do you just like break at that point? Because like really this is topology for like skin, you know. So clothing is different. Clothing is not as, unless it's like a painted on superhero outfit, it's like you may not need to consider this at all here. Though if you are going to do like the full authoring process where it's like you need to end up back here anyway, this loop through here, oh, it does kind of loop there actually. It does kind of do like, in this case they don't continue it because like this is the wrist basically and these are the fingers. Like this has a very specific number of polygons around that needs to match up with the LOD whatever head. So they had to reduce it here to get it up there. But this loop still exists and does kind of still go back through the arm. It's also just like triangulated though. So it's still there. This is still going on. So I think if you're looking for like a chest topology, it's a little bit more difficult because you have to like always be looking for this kind of line. But basically like the beginning of like the breast topology or whatever, like there's like an inner row between them. But then this is where it's like, okay, this is like maybe like the transition area to the breast or something like that. It has to feed back into the arm, like from like the front too. It's not like in the middle. It feeds back into like kind of like the front seam of the arm, which I don't know if the arm is modeled in a way that has seams. I always try to put these like kind of like big obvious seams to like the elbow and stuff. This kind of doesn't have that, which is probably more realistic to like, I don't know, like actual muscles or something like that. A pose for skin and T pose for cloth. Yeah, I gotta figure out how I want to do that. An MD, you can pose and get a good fit. You can T pose, yeah, but it's not advised to do T from what I've gathered. Can do T's. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm happy enough with this. This was rigging from an A pose. It's just like, I wouldn't say this is like a AAA finish, not just from like an art point of view, but just from like a, it stretches in bad places. And the way that you don't get stretching on the armpits for this is by doing this. You have to have a lot of topology in there. Like I'm pretty sure all the MetaHuman shirts have this topology so that like as you open up, they're very small, they stretch evenly. And it's mathematical. It's going to be like rows of verts is segmented. Like that's what this comes like. When we enter rigging phase, it becomes about this. You end up like saying like, okay, like these ones, all the way around at a very specific point, which again, like this is a very specific point like that, like this armpit, you have to be like, okay, when the arm goes up, these stay in place more or less. But like this row and down a certain amount, do I have grow selection? Is this going to do it? Well, in this way, it's not helping. I wanted to grow in one direction, but like you start to have to make those rigging decisions to get this armpit to deform flat and evenly. So I feel like it's like a math thing at some point where it's like, okay, this is that row. Oops, not that one. We'll take these rows, like this, and it's like, okay, 25% to this. And then nothing from the lat bone, certain ones from here. Because I feel like, yeah, they probably did skin to this one, and then they smooth weighted to that one. Maybe. So anyway, that's the Lod 1 MetaHuman topology. There's definitely something to be said about this loop. I don't know if I want to draw it. I guess I will. I'll just make it pink, and then it just kind of goes in there. But it's definitely like, this is very specific. And I'm assuming the female is the same. It's just modeled out different, but like I think the vert counts are the same. I have not confirmed that though. I don't have like the capacity to do both, to do the male and the female at the same time. Is too much. And then it's actually kind of like, there's two loops. There's this one, but then there's also like this one's pretty specific, and then it starts to turn back into like quads, like kind of like this. Whereas like this turns back into a grid, you know what I mean? It's like just like column, 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 column. There's no like, oh, I guess technically this goes back up. And then let's see how this loops back around. Forever. I'm forever going to be alt tapping by accident. This one loops back under. Oh, this is important. Like, say you're going to make a vest. It's like kind of how I made this MetaHuman vest here. Like, I don't know if I would follow that though. I don't think that's necessary. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm talking about making this loop be the one that loops all the way around in the back, like here, I don't think that matters for clothing. Could be wrong though. So like, again, this is like if you watch my rigging stream right here, this is a question. It's like, who rigs to what? And so that's kind of interesting to know that this loop actually, if you follow the, I guess it's technically this loop too, or I guess it's technically only this loop, but like the way that it's kind of cornered this way, actually this goes up. This is completely separate. But anyway, this loops around through here, wraps all the way around back to here. So actually this has nothing to do with that loop. I don't know what I was thinking. This is here. This is kind of like isolated in itself like that. I think, right? Like, yeah, that's a loop. And probably, again, this is more important possibly for the female models. Do I have another color that's going to make sense for this one? I guess I could do this. This is that loop. This one loops into here. How is this one going? This is like grid. This is like just column, 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 column. Okay, so here it starts to loop out. Like this one comes across. So like right here is kind of a loop. Versus like these ones, that's still a column. But if we look here, these are still wrapping back into the armpit. Whereas like this is where, like this is like a natural cutoff point for like that top torso armor. Like I do on this guy. Like, I don't know if I probably didn't follow that. But you know what I mean? It's like, it makes an easy selection loop through here. And again, these are skinned when we're copy skinning weights. Like these are like, I would assume like, it's like at some point it's like, okay, these are like spine 2, these are spine 3, maybe. We can look at that in the weighting eventually. But like this is the first place that this loop happens. It's like analogous to this. Like from in between these two sections is a grid. It's a cylinder, right? But up here, there's topology changes. This is all just a cylinder in here. So we could almost like, damn it. Like that's a cylinder, just like shrink wrapped. But up here, there's a bit of loopy situations happen. It's like, this is technically something different too. Like, what a weird ass skin. Should I make this a skin? Go VTube in this? But this stuff has weird loops, like looping up, looping into the arm, loops back into itself. This is a grid. This one goes straight down, but then through here, it's like, what? Into the elbow. I'm sorry, the armpit. So it's kind of a funny one to, well, anyway, I mean, I did my topology version of this, but this is like the MetaHuman one. So I'm kind of like, at this point, these loops end, and then it turns into quad strips here. I don't know, I'm just going to start sectioning stuff that I see and see if anything comes from it. Like, this loop ends here. But then here, I mean, really, there's like these supporting loops around the armhole is what's happening, and they end there. I mean, it's looping in multiple directions at this point. Like there's 2 loops around the armhole, which is something to keep in mind when I make my next thing. And then at this point, nah, this is still looping down. It doesn't become a grid again until here. Like that turns into a grid. Like this. If we're only doing half of it. Like that's another grid section. But there's also this row to consider that completely goes around it. But it turns back into like a patch there. And then there's also like, I don't know if this is useful, but this is still a patch right here, and up one row. And then it's like not a patch, then it gets weird. It splits off through here, like this loops around. This is the patch ends there basically. And then there's radial loops to consider. There's like this radial loop, and then there's like around the arms. The arm is a tricky one, man. Like the arm intersection is not like I'm pretty sure the way that I did this is like, cool, let's take this loop and go all the way around. I would have kept going around, but they don't. Like where do we call the first arm loop? There isn't an arm loop. Like there's no clean loop around the arm. It always flows back into the chest, which is kind of confusing to me. So this is the only loop, is this one, and we're calling that part of the arm. But then when it's like whatever, it's kind of a interesting maze back under there. I know it's you end up solving this in some way, but this is the way that it got skinned. Huh, that's tricky. Like I would want this loop. See, like this arm loop goes all the way around, but from this point on, it doesn't do that. And this is so compressed in here, but then it stretches it out. Like, I guess it comes in like where you UV it, right? You must UV it from A, so like in the texture, there's like just not that much resolution in here. But this loop's, you can't trace this loop. This loop doesn't exist basically. Like it goes up into here. It's a trick. It's just like a tricky topology, but it's one to memorize basically, or at least know how to identify when you're doing it. But like this is a patch, but then this is quite tricky. This one goes all the way around. Where does this end? Into the chest. Wow. At the second subdivision. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, that's a tricky one. That arm area is very tricky to get right. So I'm concerned with like if I want to go back and make a P-coat or something like that. Like how do you make a P-coat from this that's like not so tucked in, that has enough resolution in the armpit that the jacket can go up and you can move your arms up in the air without stretching it like insane, like I kind of have now. How big is your MOCAP tracking space currently? It's like 3 by 4 meters, something like that. Is this retopo? No, these are base MetaHuman LODs. But if you're going to rig your own MetaHumans and you want copy skin weights to do most of the work for you, these are kind of like the verts and the loops that I think you want to consider. Maybe. It's a thought anyway. If you like just skinning it from scratch yourself, you don't have to really worry about this. You just do whatever the fuck you want. But pretty much like as you put clothes over this and you copy skin weights, it's going to kind of project out or in, however you want to think about it. Like there's your topology over this, and it's going to go, okay, well, what vert are you closest to? And it's like there's clothing here, and it's like, okay, let's copy skin weights. It's like, okay, here's a point. The closest point on the mesh is this one. You get that weight. And it does that all the way around throughout the whole mesh. So if you like, you know, took this whole thing and like extruded it out, actually I wonder how that would go. But anyway, like if you kind of just extruded it out, you would get pretty good results on the copy skin weights, but you're going to get like kind of effed up results in here as they're going to start like cutting across through each other. So I'm not really sure. People who do character art and specifically the riggers all day, like I'm sure they're like, there's a strategy for this. This one's not as hard because it's just cylinders. That being said, it's actually not just cylinders. The cylinder point ends here, like that's a cylinder, and then this. So like the real skinning happened. Like the hard part of this isn't this cylinder part, because like you can just go like this. You're just like, I mean, the MetaHumans make this a little harder, but you can just start taking rows, right? Like it's like, okay, like a certain amount of this row, 100% to the thigh bone, and then same thing down here, 100% to this thing, and you smooth out the weights. And then with the MetaHuman, there's like helper bones on both sides, and you would cut this selection in half and give it more to the front, this one more to the back, something like that. But this area, I need to go look at how they weight it. But this one looks easier. It's just two cylinders kind of with this kind of very even, like this line exists. This line exists. Like that's really straightforward to do selection weighting. Okay, it dies here at a certain point. I bet you there's a little bit of nuance to getting this to fold right, which is again shows up on mine like right, like that ain't the way. Like that's not it. Right, so that comes down to this when you're like, oh, okay, like this row verts, like where are we weighting this to? Like who owns that? Where this would stay in place versus mine's like this. And I'm getting like the thigh corrective is maybe being double applied at the moment, which is something you have to worry about. I think my thigh corrective is double applied. I need this. There's a script that exists somewhere to strip out all the helper. Like if any of the helper bones accidentally have animation on them, you gotta strip those out for the final game animation. But this is what, to me, this is why the topology matters, is like this row, where did they rig it to, right? And same thing with this. So like what's happening on mine that's bad, it's that like this lower part is going down. So that was probably, the thing is I put that like end of the thing here. So when the leg folds, what should this be doing? You know, where should it be weighted is the question. It's kind of an awkward one because it's like it would be much easier to have it up here, but on the Witcher it's like halfway through his like crotch basically, like when he stands up. It's supposed to be there, like from a design point of view, but then from a rigging point of view, it's kind of like because this is a copy skin weight, so it's probably very close to how the MetaHuman is, but we kind of have to like deviate from there. So nothing super actionable from this from me, but I would say that like, and if I just skin this, if I just that's what this one is. It's just a smooth version of that, I believe. So it should be the same exact thing, it's just smoother. I don't really care about this one. This is unachievable. Like I can't model at this quad density. I can get to this in smooth, but I can't, like, I'm not moving verts around at this level. That's insane. Like I'm sure someone does, but like that's like generally not the idea with like 3D modeling, is to like get to that level of topology. So it's pretty much like this one. And then these are hand reductions at that point, with specific goals in mind. Like what's this poly count, right? Like it's going to get tried up, right? So it's double this in the game engine. Actually, this has some tries on it, but anyway, it's more than this in the final game. But like selected faces is like 1,000. So this 1K selected, this is like 3, and it's really almost double this when it goes into the actual game engine, but like 3,000, almost 8,000, 30,000. So there's like 1K. Oh no, it says tries. Is this if you actually triangulated it? Is that correct? So this is 2K, 6.5, 15K, 60K. Right. So these were trying to hit like polygon budgets that still work with the skeleton, but like this is like the actual one, I think. But it deforms the best here because it's nice and it's like you have even more topology to smooth out the movement. But as far as like the rigging, like I'm not gonna skin this. Like this is crazy. I mean, I guess we could, but it's like if there's like problem areas, it's like, oh my god. I guess if they're in rows, they're clean. That's not so bad. But like this one, I don't feel so bad grabbing each vertice and like hand jamming it back where it should go. This is just too many, like for me. So I'm gonna probably author close a lot at this level, and even like I that's kind of what the topology of this is. So like even with it being like quote unquote like LOD1 level, I'm okay. I don't really need to go to LOD0 as far as like density. That seems like too much for me. Like I don't know. I think this is fine. I'm kind of authoring all my clothes at LOD1. That's what I've just realized for the body, because I can handle it. Like I can't handle this one. Oh, I screwed up the. Doesn't really matter. I guess I'll fix it. I'll take a little screenshot. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that. I like to author at LOD1. That's the LOD we like, and we just smooth it, I guess. Technically, I just think that's a nightmare. And then you have to UV at that level. Like, I don't know. Maybe in like a year of like authoring like a ton of these, I'm like, it's time for a challenge and let's pump it up. But I don't want to pump it up because I have to fix the rig on that then. Okay, so hand topology. Okay, so this is something like the revelation here for me. If you go back and watch like me trying to figure out the hand topology myself, is that they put the loops. What? They put the loops like this. Like they actually push these back through. Okay, this is not a clean selection, but like anyway, it's this. I never did this. I thought we were keeping them on their own, but they're pulling them back. This one loops, which is kind of interesting. Loops around. Wow. This is just like, and then technically it's going to loop back up through the thumb. This is a very specific solve for topology that I had not considered. And then, yeah, so the other question comes down to like, how do you solve this intersection from the finger? And so like this, they kept like, these are like knuckle loops. This is for the knuckle because there's a helper bone that's right at the top of the metacarpal, or the end of the metacarpal, or the beginning of like the finger one that bulges. Like it bulges up when the finger goes down. So they have this loop here. But then immediately after, how do you solve this, right? Like where's the halfway line for this hand? Actually, I kind of want to cut the hand in half. So the MetaHuman naked hand is kind of an interesting halfway point because they give an extra loop between, I think, like if you look at the UVing, I think it UVs here, but then actually it looks pretty strongly like this. Never mind. Oh, no, it's not. That's the halfway. Wait, no. Is this the halfway cut? There is no halfway cut on the MetaHuman hand. This is kind of weird. Like, where's this go? Damn. Oh, the hand is crazy. How did they UV this? Oh, I guess you go from this line here. Does that loop all the way around? There it is. Okay, all the way around. Okay, there it is. I see. Never mind. That's the halfway point. Like this loop goes all the way through. And yeah, they leave an extra span, I think, to help support. Like they're putting more texture up here towards the fingernail than they are down there. So there's a very specific topology solve for this. And I definitely would have put this finger halfway point here lower. So that's kind of interesting. The thumb works kind of how I'd expect it to. And then there's going to be a really specific solve for this too, which this is a bit high topo. My hand finished around here, but like, look at this craziness. Like, this is looping through, this one's looping through. Like, this isn't even a clean loop. It's this one loops into the thumb. This one loops all the way up into like what the middle finger one. So it's like kind of crazy. They're definitely going for like, oh, but this is like nuts. But anyway, there's like this loop for sure. That's like the main loop that they were trying to hold. And then all the other ones just kind of are what they are to end up in quads. But like this loop is important. I guess this is its own whole journey. And of course the face would be like fully insane to try to map that out. No thanks. Like here, and then where's this one? Hold on. Like that's the finger loop, I think. Does this one loop across too? Oh, it's actually there. We have a full loop here. I would almost consider these to be like kind of the same, but it's technically here. And the finger loops are kind of nutty. I was actually expecting something different. Or the knuckle loops look like this. Wait. So there's then, yeah, so like also like the top of the fingers is different too. It's like this one has 2. And there's more topology on the different fingers. I wasn't expecting that. This loop is very different. And then this loop is very different too. So they kind of have 2 with a loop, 2 with a loop, 4 with a loop, 2 with a loop. Kind of weird. And they don't do that for the thumb, but that's kind of an odd one. I guess technically it's this then. It's this, but there's just happens to be another loop also around it, whereas the other ones don't have that loop. The middle finger is kind of odd. It's kind of its own situation. No, I would say it's still this loop. This is just happens to be also a loop. My fingers are equally weird. Like the topology of my finger is like super odd. I think I have a tweet about it. Like, yeah. It's kind of similarly fucked up. Theirs is better, but mine is still... I went for like kind of a shallower loop here. Same kind of immediate finger loop into like trying to hold these loops. And I ended up with different amounts of topology on each finger too. So it's gonna screw that up. I guess that's how we do it. About the viewport. You can reset it with Alt Home. Oh, okay, that's good to know. There was other stuff going on in that Maya file. So skinning means painting over the mesh as per the cloth, basically to help Unreal Engine resolve cloth physics. No, it has nothing to do with cloth physics. It's just like when the skeleton moves, how does the mesh move? Is what we're looking for here. And so if you're like a full character artist, you're making your own full custom characters, then you don't care. You decide yourself. But me, I'm trying to match what the MetaHuman is doing. So I'm trying to reverse engineer it as much as I need to. So that my skinning life is easier. And so that it generally matches the MetaHuman. Like it looks like it should fit. Whereas a lot of people go and like you jam like the MetaHuman head into like a different skeleton. It looks fine when they're static. But once it starts moving, it doesn't look fine. It looks crazy. Because they're different skeletons. Like it doesn't look the same, I think. So it depends. Like mannequin body does not gel super great with the lower body is pretty much the same, but the upper body is very different. I'm pretty sure they made the MetaHuman lower body almost identical to the UE4 mannequin, so that like the majority of the animations that exist would retarget as far as like locomotion is concerned, like walking. The upper bodies won't match, but especially the shoulders. But the lower bodies mostly match. Like if you use like ALS4 or something on a MetaHuman, it pretty much matches. Because they match the skeletons to almost be identical. Looks like there's like another loop actually, like even closer, possibly. Oops. Yeah, so that loop is actually there too. But these are like reinforcing. Like these are like deformation loops. Like they're gonna move nicely. But it ends like it doesn't go that way at that point. So that's kind of the study for like the hand. This doesn't loop. There's no loop. I forget if mine. I tried to, but they don't. But it's not. They don't. On that Lod, Lod 1, they don't. I tried to hold this loop as an important loop, and I guess it doesn't matter. Hey, what the fuck? I would have thought that was like an important thing, but like they don't have it. The loop happens on like the shirt part or the wrist part. Well, like, you know what? I guess if I considered this loop part of the hand, then it is a priority loop. Like we could call it like this. Like, is that the hand, right? Then it would be like, oh, that's a priority loop, just like mine is. It's like here, like one on the wrist. We have to get to a certain number of polygons. Deformation loop for the hand. Deformation loop to like eventually there's a loop into the fingers, and then loops after each finger as well. So I guess if we call this loop right there, then that's like the transition loop. So it's kind of like would be like this, and then these are here, and then this one's here. It's like that. And then basically everything else, like in here, it's like, whatever. It's kind of a grid, and sometimes you have to make some weird things to make quads happen. And like, I don't think this loop matters. Like this does loop around, but it's not needed. It's kind of just like, it was a nice way to like kind of get rid of some topology. And, generally is a grid over, the shape, if we're thinking about like a retopo. I take it back, actually. This looks like it's pretty important. This looks like it was really on purpose. To take it back completely. Like this is like the fatty part of your hand. So there's probably a helper bone right here holding down this. Anytime we see like a loop like that, there's probably a bone right there, is my guess. So actually this is important. I take that back. If you're trying to get like the fatty part of the hand to like mush. Yeah, like if you were to make a fist, this part would squish out. So I wonder if the helper bone does that. These are my like kind of crappily skinned hands, so I'm not sure we're going to be able to look at it. We'd have to go look at like the actual skeleton. But my suspicion is that, okay, we have kind of like a bad Vicon solve to on my part, but if pinky 1 goes all the way down, it's reasonable that like the helper bone here, which there's like a loop, would come out to kind of the hand squishes a lot, has like a lot of deformation happening in it, which is why there's a million bones in there now. I could see that happening. So I take it back. This is like very purposeful. This right here. How it terminates is not massively important, but the fact that it exists here is the same as like the kind of the loop there. So this is very now I wonder if this was in the regular MetaHuman mesh. because we didn't have hand deformation bones. I wonder if the topology actually changed. But that's important. How it ends, it doesn't matter, but the fact that it's there is definitely on purpose. And then it feels like it's like, whatever happens in there, it's kind of gridded out. Oh no, what? Oh, we're on the crazy one. I was like, oh, that's a lot of topology. I don't want to deal with that. This one. Like, this is still selectable by a human. The other one's like, that's robot selections on there. I guess there's still loops, but it's like your precision to select is like super difficult. And I feel like it falls off in importance, like basically around like here. It's like, and then this it just transitions how it does. Like, are those columns? No, it's not. This column's up to here, but then it turns into like this split situation. That's a tricky one. I definitely would not have done that. Yeah, that's interesting. You know, there's maybe a world in ZBrush, like say you like just go like, you're like, fuck it, and you just like smooth this and sculpt like whatever you want in ZBrush. There's maybe a world with the ZR remesher tool or topology tool where you can draw edge loops. So you would draw an edge loop here, one there, around each finger. I don't know how you do these. I don't know how you would tell ZR remesher that like you want that to exist. But a lot of the primary loops, you could have ZBrush ZR remesh for you, but then like this, it's like, it's probably not gonna do it like this. But those would be my calls on, there's even more happening in here. There's a counter loop running here, which is even more. The question is if there's a bone there. If there's no bone, then it's like whatever. But if there's a bone trying to hold this, then there's also this happening. And then this one too. This one is just like kind of like sympathetic to like this actual loop, but it's kind of probably just how this transitions. But I do see this seems like, where does that resolve up here? I don't know. They did a good job. This is done purposefully. When I was retopoing the hand, I was like, fuck it, whatever. Like, whatever gets me to quads, I'm taking it. But that has a lot more thought in it. And then hopefully this is just, you just hit smooth and it looks like that. Which is the whole point of like modeling and subdivision surfaces. Like you can just hit smooth and get the extra polys for free. So on this, I mean, there's nothing going on in there. But there is also going to be like a similar hand strategy for this one. And I think the takeaway for me is that like I was wondering like how to approach hands like this. It's different. It's all over the place. But anyway, there is a span. Like I've seen a lot of low poly hands where you don't have this polygon in between. You would just have the finger. These would be like coming into like whatever, like you'd merge these together. But I don't like that. I do like this in between way. It's just that like the in between finger polygon, it's like, where's it go? This case, they looped it around. This case, it goes almost to the wrist, but then loops around again. This one, they just crush it into a triangle to try to match this eventually. But on like the lowest poly hand that you would do, there's still a span between each finger. You don't bring them into a triangle. And then if we look at this, like if this is the finger and this is the thumb, how many spans are, like in a very low poly way, how many spans are between them? 2. I'm pretty sure mine has 1. There's 3. I take it back. There's 3. Mine has 2. So mine's like in some weird, awful thing. I was trying to test a couple theories, but anyway, like one on a very low poly hand, 1 span between fingers, and then 2 between. Wait, is it these 2? Is it 3? Wait a minute. Is it 3? What was I doing? It's 3. Wait, no. It's this. It's kind of this one too. Anyway, it's 2 to 3, something like this. And there's like a clean loop all the way through. This is a loop. There's a loop there. So it's pretty similar to how I was doing it. Like 1 loop around the thumb to isolate it, to give it something to tie on to. And then there's a transition row at least to get to the finger. But when it starts, so when you're starting off like the really low topology hand, kind of keep that in mind. It's like put a span in between each one. I think this was like 10 around or something like that, 8, 7. Turns out that doesn't really matter. I would go for symmetry, but they actually cut the hand in kind of a funny way. So symmetry, I wanted a symmetrical hand to make my life easier for a topology point of view, but like it's not. It's kind of like there's no symmetry on this. Like this has a front, a top, and a side, and a back, and an armpit. It has different regions. It's not a mirrored version of anything. Kind of same thing with the hand. Like if there was a thumb here, it would be almost symmetric. It would be symmetrical, but there's no thumb, so there's really no need for like actual symmetry. I was looking for like a line that would be like the halfway finger point or something like that. But even here, it's kind of like starts to get pretty different. Oh, that's not the one that cuts across. What's the one that cuts all the way through? It's this one. Yeah, it's down here. Oof. Yeah, that's very different. So like if that is the halfway line, there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then like 6 or something up here. Like 1, 2. Oh, it's the fingernail. So we got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a 10. That's very interesting. Okay, well that's the new spec, I guess. If I'm going to do like Lod 0 MetaHuman, I was trying to do 4 on top, 4 on bottom, or 5 on top, 4 on bottom. Wait, 5 and 5 or 4 and 4. MetaHuman does 4 on the bottom, 6 on the top, so it's 10. If I'm trying to match their topology, based on like following the center line cut, which is here, should make it back to the wrist. Is the thumb the same thing? Probably, right? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 on top. Oh no, it's different. And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the bottom. Oh, they flipped it. That's weird. Damn, how do you do that? That's tricky. So on the fingers, it's 6 on top, 4 on the bottom. On the thumb, it's 4 on top, 6 on the bottom, because like the bottom is bigger. Man, that's some tricky topology. I'm going to try to just copy and paste this hand as much as I can. What would it look like to reduce this? Because I don't really need this kind of thing. Like, how bad would this be to like... We kind of screw up the copy weights at that point, but I mean, on the hand, I copy skin weights to this monstrosity, and it's okay. It's not, I'm sure if you like examined it really closely, there's a lot of issues, but like, that's fine. But like for me, I don't need these fingernails in my retopos ever. I don't think there's any gloves I'm going to make that need them. So how clean is it if I deleted those and I pulled this into a quad? Would that actually work? Like if I deleted, actually I'd have to delete these too. If I deleted all of these and just went across, how does that work out? Like, does this resolve to quads cleanly? Because I would probably do that. Mostly as we go back to ZBrush. That's not to say that like there's two meshes. There's the mesh that goes to ZBrush and quads nicely, and then there's the mesh that's like skins nicely. But I always try to have them be the same. I think this does, if I delete this and then fill the hole, I guess I'll just do it. Is that around? Can't tell. Fill hole, and then I'm pretty sure that cuts. Yeah, that's a quad. Yeah, so they just basically took this and extruded it, but that's the like we don't have a fingernail topology, and the normal is of course like who knows, nowhere. It probably doesn't even have here's like a world normal or something. Let me see. Oh no, never mind. I'm wrong. It has actual normal. It's kind of like this kind of. But what did I ruin? The 6 on top? No, it's like it might need to have like some modeling done to it, like kind of like just to kind of get these kind of back to being a little bit more round. And then this can be kind of like a little bit further back. But I'm looking for like a base mesh that I can start all my MetaHuman clothing from, and it's like I don't really need that thumbnail topology in there. And then we start pushing this back towards like that. And keep smoothing it. So I would do that I would delete these fingernails out because I don't need that. And it would still, I don't know how much of an issue it is to copy skin weights from this. Because like this would be now my quad mesh that I would send out to ZBrush and start quadifying up this stuff. But we wouldn't project from this mesh at this point. And we could also then come back and use this as like the base to the game mesh that would actually end up skinning, in which case we don't really need these. These don't deform. I doubt there's a bone here. There's a bone there. But I think that's still okay. So we could, like if I'm making, like if I'm trying to get to like a, oh, it won't be skinned at this point. So this would be purely for topology. This would be like my MetaHuman quad base mesh to sculpt. But then also use as like extract or quad draw onto from built-in low polys. We don't want these basically in there like that. So delete these out. Can you fill a hole like this all at once? You can. Yeah, I just like cut these all up same way. And then spend some time just modeling them back into place and then just duplicate the mesh across. And kind of like, you know, go back and remodel them so that they're not flat. It looks like I gave him like white gray nails. It's kind of funny. But give these all back the orange texture material. So their normals are all crazy. Anyway, we got to model them and then smooth everything out of it. But basically, if we did that same thing to this, it's like this would be a really good. And I would also, well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna also do the same thing to the feet. The feet, god damn it. I would basically just delete them off of the toes and then just recap them myself and try to keep this topology so that like they're around it, and then that would be the base shoe. Every time I make a shoe, and we would delete out. Like if I need toes, I'm gonna use these toes. I'm not gonna like do anything to it. What I need is like a base shoe, like a base closed foot. So this is a good base mesh for a glove. Like I like it. Like I like having those loops. I like these. They're even like good design call outs if I was gonna like sculpt in like kind of lines into it. Like good base glove, good base shirt, good base this, good base shorts. This is a little bit formy, like almost pretty sure pants don't need that. So we wouldn't really need that. So we'd have to do like kind of like a regular retopo to get rid of this loop. I don't want that. That's going to make the pants like kind of weird. Like they're going to have like extra pull on that. But then the foot, I basically should take this resolution and make a base shoe that's just like a closed form. And then from there I can always sculpt it and like add layers and turn it into boots and stuff like that. But I basically need at this LOD level of a shoe that's more or less this topology. Like we'll maybe do the same starring like right there. They star immediately. My stars ended up being down here. And just like match this intersection, but then delete the toes off and make it like a flat shoe that I can start from scratch every time. And then this is it. This is the mesh. This is what we want to start all clothes from, right? We can extract from this. We can pull off of it. We could go to ZBrush, like whatever. But then we always start with these loops. And as we start to subdivide this up in ZBrush, we actually end up with this, which is the LOD 0 after one division, which is really nice. Versus trying to like take like the way I was doing it before was taking the triangulated version of this and like ZR mesh, and it's like chaos. It's just not good. We're starting from like, you know, pretty much the source, which is going to be like LOD 1. And I don't really care about things at all, really, at this point. We'll see what happens when I actually have to ship a game. Then I might start to care. I was like, oh, never mind. This, you can't have more than 2 of these or on anything less than like a 3090. Then it's like, oh, okay, never mind. Then I would go to this one, start authoring things down here, and default the game into Lod 012. I don't know what Lod that is in like the actual game. I mean, you can change it, but where is it? Here it is. So if you're 0 or 1, you're getting 0 and 1 are the body LOD 1. 2 and 3 are 1. Oh, wow. Oh, we never should use this. But the grooms kind of fire there. Yeah, I think LOD 2 is probably the move for a lot of games. Even I think for Sinitrace, I was doing LOD. I don't remember if it was 2 or not. But you're using the LOD 1 body, which is this one. Like this in a game, like that's a lot. Like I think this is pretty good for the body. But if you switch to LOD head, I mean, look at this. That's a lot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure for my games, I'm gonna be like right here. I'm not using that one. So that's gonna be LOD here, 2 and 3, or LOD 1 basically. Wait, no, LOD in this LOD is gonna be 2 or 3, and then at 4 and 5, which I never use LOD 4 and 5. That's super low. That's this. This is my one. I don't even want these, like, to be honest, and this is too much, like, for me, like this one right there. Like I can't author clothing at that level consistently. I'm gonna live in here for like probably many years, many years. I can't imagine people like users are like, we really need this. It's like, what computer are you running that could even have, like, if you author this, that means that like to support this topology, you're gonna need like how many 4K maps of texture to support what this would to look good. This is already like, how many textures are on this thing? It's a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, some of these are doubled up, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, the gloves didn't probably have to be extra, but 5 plus whatever. How many textures the MetaHuman's face is packing? How many textures does this guy's head have? Holy shit! I forgot about how crazy the head is. These are LODs though. Like these aren't all firing, but it's like, how much texture memory is this already pulling? And this is LOD 1. So to go up to this level, you need to have like 8, like at least 4K textures, like 4K for the pants, 4K for this, 4K for that. It's like, this is big to match this resolution. They're also going to just stretch. Not many, I don't think many games, you can't like ship this too much of it. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I wonder like how many of the Matrix characters in that Unreal 5 demo were this. Like that's insane. That's crazy. I think this is like way fine. This is like mannequin resolution. I guess that's kind of what I'm used to. It's just like this, but like it's heavy. Like, can you cloth sim with a cape? Like, if all your cloth sims were this density too, can you pull that off? We're living here. Okay, so this has been interesting. I'm gonna just take a screenshot of this. What fucking time is it? Oh, I gotta go soon. I didn't get to skinning stuff. What's up with this? What's up front this? Is there a back? Guess I could have flipped everything. Oh Maya, there it is, the grid. Okay. I'm gonna do a combined. The combined skin is Lod, so I'm still gonna have to do something funny. But anyway, there's a combined Lod 0 that has a lot of weird stuff happening in it that I'm trying to strip out. But I actually don't really want it. I want the Lod 1 head back on this. I kind of like the preview mesh. This is like the preview mesh from the original MetaHuman, except it's quadded. That's all I need. And then if I had it skinned with the head on there, like a generic MetaHuman head, I'm good for life. I don't really want anything else other than that. And I don't see authoring at that level anytime soon. That's like Square Enix, CD Projekt Red shit. That's great. That's too much for me. I'll take this. I only saw 8 2K and 1K textures. Sure, but I'm saying it's like when you go to author your own though. Like if you make your own custom clothes and you want to have textures that match this amount of mesh resolution, it's like you're going to have multiple 4K textures, right? So it's like, so the amount of memory this takes up in your game is like massive, and you can't have like too many of those, I imagine, like walking around. So it's like you're here and you're here, and you can do a lot at this level, to be honest. Like if you're not like in close-ups, like in full body, this does a lot. You can pull off a lot with this resolution, and this is good for like medium shots, I feel like. But maybe I'm like behind the times. We'll see like how many games like every single character is this. I guess they LOD down, but it's like that's a big art project right there. Yeah, I mean the MetaHuman face and body do whatever, but I'm talking about when you make your own clothing. I'm like, if you're gonna author at this level, I mean you're talking like a lot of texture, which is, I guess, fine. I'm not really, like, as a developer, I'm not going to author all of these. It's too much for me. I'm not going to do that. Like, if you're making one video, like an actual narrative video game, it's like, okay, you might do that for like your main character or something like that. Though, when does your main character ever LOD down? I don't know. But for me, I'm looking to make like 16 metahumans in my game with clothing. And it's like, so I'm going to just pick, and I'm going to pick here pretty much. Like, I can make lots of clothes at this level, and then I have to basically do one male one and one female one, and like that's it. And if people want kids, then like I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's the amount of work it would take me to add another skeleton to this is like it'd be a lot. I'd have to make a whole other one. That's too much. Unless some system comes along that runtime makes that easier. I don't know. And then like even if we can retarget in game between the male and the female, it's like I don't know, maybe that would work, like author only male skeleton animations and retarget the rest. I feel like that's not gonna work, but we'll see. Anyway, so did I take a picture of this? Just want to have that for reference. Yeah, even I don't need this one. Even these three, this graphic teaches me a lot about how these are being sectioned. Then there's something to be said about the hands too. I'll take a picture of the hands real quick, actually. The shoulder arm intersection and the hand are not describable from one image. You have to see them from like all sides. But where's the one I really sectioned up? It's this one. So I mean, I can kind of show it from here. We could telephoto out too, but I'll just take it from like here. Kind of like showing that there are sections, and you can kind of loosely understand that like that's how the topology should be. But like the underside is actually another story completely. So this one. Wait, is it this one? I forget how to use this tool. Whatever, just close this. Oh, I don't want you in here. So this is the mesh that has all the answers to the questions I was asking that you can, on my other streams. And then it doesn't answer skinning though. Skinning's the next part that I have. Though I think the skinning I have is for the, oh, it's the new tool. The skinning is on the combined LOD, what's it called? LOD 0, which I don't want that. It's too much. Like the head, the topology of the head on the Lod 0 metahuman's like, there's a lot. Okay, so that's the LOD study from a topology point of view. It's this. I'm guessing this is the master. You smooth to get to Lod 0, and you hand reduce to get to Lod 2, 3. That's my guess. Did I really think out the feet all the way? I'm not sure. I think that's it. I think that's got to be the cut. And I'd assume there's a bone. But the feet are really not that. They're not as important as like this. This thing is nuts. Like to get this thing perfect, like perfectly skinned in here, it's tough. The rest, that's pretty much it though. Pretty much this is hard. This is not so hard. Easy, free. Hands, it worked pretty well for me, the auto weights. But like this, if you're authoring A, I don't get it. I still don't understand it. I know how to like kind of like hack fix it, but I don't know how to like confidently like approach this area. Whereas like you're gonna have all this baggy, no resolution under the armpit. Look how much resolution's under the armpit. So if you just have like a couple rows here, what are you gonna do? How's this gonna ever transform it? I don't know how to do it. It's T-pose. You gotta do it in T-pose. That's gotta be the only way. Okay, so let me see if I can open up my other file. I gotta go soon, but broken layout. This one, yeah. A lot of questions here. You had 4 at 2K equals 17 frames per second. I feel like something else had to be going on. It would map down usually, but it depends. There's a lot of factors with performance. It's mostly the lighting is like the main thing, but you don't want it to get too. Oh, what the absolute fuck is going on? Oh no, I like reset something and oh no, okay. Ooh, I feel like I broke my Maya. Okay. So Why are you on the wrong axis? You're upside down. Maya's like this. And you're scaled gigantic. So there was something in that Maya file that Unreal Engine Bridge generates. Something is very weird about it. Don't know what. But anyway, this file's not useless to me because the root's all screwed up. But what happened? But anyway, this is the Lod 0 combined with the skeleton rigged. But there's a lot of weird stuff in this file, and I haven't been able to find out what. And it's nothing in here. I've tried deleting out all sorts of stuff, and I don't know what's going on with this file. This file is massive. I don't understand what's happening with this. This is an extraction from the LOD, and then I grabbed the root skeleton and skipped out the DHI namespace. And no other program likes this. Like Shogun doesn't like it. And I question skinning to it and sending the skeleton back. There's something really weird happening. But you could probably reconstruct Subdivision and ZBrush to go back to Lod 1, kind of. But I kind of don't want this skeleton as a base. It's just too dense. Like look at this face. It's crazy. And now that I'm looking at my orientation, things are like super weird. Maya is Z up? No, Maya's Y up, pretty sure. Either way, it's because the up axis has been changed to suit Unreal. Is that what they did? I don't like doing that. Not to say that I'm right, but I never do that. I work in Maya native and then Unreal Engine native, and it converts it for me, and it's been fine. So is that what they did? Is that what's happening on that Maya file? I don't even want to open that Maya file. It takes so long to open it. Which is the opposite of Maya's natural up. Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah. Oh, so this is Z up. Like, this is Unreal Engine coordinates, like you're saying. Where he's looking into negative Y. You're right. You're right. So if you basically didn't do like the normal Maya translate back, this is Z up, X to the right, into negative Y. Whereas Unreal Engine really is X forward, but their avatar systems have all been created with negative Y forward. You're right. That's what's happening. So looking at this, we could copy skin weights from this mesh, and what I get for free in this case is the neck weighting. But obviously the axis being wrong, I think it actually sorts itself out. I could switch the axis back. But what's nice about this is, hey, how come is this not skinned anymore? Did I break this? I think it's skinned. It has a skin cluster. How come NG skin tools won't pop up? What's up here? Paint? What? Okay, so there's something wrong. I extracted this wrong because NG skin tools isn't working, or something is wrong. But I thought this was actually rigged. Skinned. It is skinned. There's something that Maya file from Unreal Engine is doing something like extra. There's a bunch of other things happening. So I thought I had this file skinned out nice, all extracted, but I definitely don't. But I basically don't want this one anyway. I want the LOD 0 with the head back on it, quads, skinned. That's the file I need. And you can combine them in Motion Builder, which I don't have. I could go do it. I could go get it. I don't think you can buy a monthly Motion Builder. You either buy it for the year or you don't. So it's like $2,600 or whatever. I'm sure it'll have its uses. Then you alt home and it's fixed. Oh, okay. Is that really what it is? Let me try the alt home thing. Well, it's currently in like normal view. We're just like looking at this mesh like crazy. So this is normal orientation like this. Is it alt home? What? Alt home took me here, guys. It did pull me out. That's like an old shortcut or something. Alt home came here. What do you mean the Maya file from Unreal? I don't remember. Oh no. Okay, so alt home brings you here. So maybe that was an alt. Can I just do go to Maya? Anyway, I see. So they prefer to work with this converted into Unreal Engine space. See, I like using Maya just as Maya, but then I guess that does sort of, I'm always asking myself like, what's forward? I think, I don't know, is forward X or Z or negative Z or negative. I actually don't remember. And that becomes an issue in Shogun actually too. Function then home. Well, I don't want to go back to that other way. I'd like to find, that's the shortcut. I'd like to find it in the settings just so I know its name. But that's good to know. You said Maya alt home? Wait, you said... What's the name of the command? I guess I gotta start digging. Animation, file, display. These are all the basic ones. Alt 5. So we're looking for something for home. There's no home on this one. So these are like, it's like a more advanced one. Anyway, I don't want to work with Lod Zero MetaHuman. He's too big. Like, look how many polygons is this thing? 50k? I guess it's not too bad. It's just like, he's thick. I guess it would be fine. This is the combined one. Maybe this is what the one everyone's working at. It would be good for like live drawing on it, you know, because it has so many faces on it. But I don't ever want to deal with a mesh by hand at this resolution. You know what I mean? Like, it's not malleable at this point. It's like been subdivided. It's like a smooth one. Alt home or function then home? Function being what, Mac? I don't have a function key. Alt home doesn't work on my computer. Like, my home button is the arrow button. What? Well, I don't like that Maya file. I don't want to use it. Left. I'll probably understand that later when I'm watching this back or something. I want Lod Zero MetaHuman. Because like the main thing that I missed out on my last rig, and it will make the suit and everything harder, is the weighting on this bone. It's pretty much that bone. That's what we miss. Like when we cut off the head, we obviously lose the neck, but you kind of need to do the neck by hand anyway. But I'll take this. Like the combination of, of this bone, oh, it's not letting me select. This one, and this one. And this one. And I guess while we're here, the back one too. But mostly these ones, like, there's, you know, it's pretty tricky what's going on in here from like a topology point of view. So it kind of reflects how probably tricky the weighting between these bones are. And I guess while we're here, we'll talk about this one. Like this relationship is done mathematically. I almost guarantee it's like this bone, these verts, this number, this bone, these verts, this number, smooth. And it's like, that's going to get you like probably pretty close. I'll take it for free when I can, you know? So what happens is when you delete the head, this doesn't enter the equation. And so these get weighted to like here, and then you got to go undo it. And I probably don't do it right. Versus if you do it from the head, you pretty much get it for free, and then you fix up the neck yourself. You just select the neck bones, weight them 100% to this, and then distribute them up and down if you need to. And it doesn't even honestly look like they should ever go there. Maybe, I feel like the neck area, this is 100% between these two. That's it. The neck is these two, right? And then technically the one over here, like this one. Maybe that one. I don't think so. I think it's the influence is right here. So it would be nice just to not have to weight paint that over and over and over again. But in the end, it was fixed. So I did it by hand. It was okay. But that's why I like the Lod version of this. I mean, technically this one works to go to ZBrush, which is like, it's just massive already. Hey, what's up? Oh, okay, cool. Are we still going for a drive right now? Oh, okay, word. Okay, well, I don't know what we did today, but it was something. Kind of reviewing the problem areas of the rig. Kind of reflecting on that. I can honestly go into like just like producing mode at this point. Like the parts of the rig, I just won't film them, and I won't do actions that break it. And it would be completely usable. And like this, it's like, again, just film around it. It's not like a huge thing. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna jump back into rigging him. There's some stuff I could change pretty easily. I'm definitely not going to like go into any more detail. Like that last test I posted, I was like, okay, that's enough. We don't need to like, I don't need to sculpt all the scratches and stuff. Like that's cool, but like it's not the big picture problem. Oh, you know what the main one is? The neck. So I'm going to try there's a new way to retarget the MetaHuman in Shogun that I'm going to try. I do need to re-rig the neck. But basically, none of this is helping me yet. There's like new stuff in here, but I can't use it yet. And they use Unreal Engine people use Maya differently than I do, which sounds like it's not like a massive difference. But yeah, okay. So did my grid settings die? No, is this really it? No, there we go. Okay. So the scale's correct. I thought it was also multiplying the scale for me, but Maya and Unreal Engine are both centimeters, I believe, native. So the scale should be fine. It's just the orientation, the axis got flipped. Which for the skeleton actually may not matter, because it's the root. If it just, I don't know if it like transforms it back. But I don't want to work with this mesh too much. But that's the combine they give you. So I can either keep working with like the headless one, and I always fix the shoulders, and that's the only real difference. It might be better to work with the Lod 0 though. Like, if your copy skin weights, this gives you more precision to copy from. Like there's all of these different ones, so like the likelihood of it like catching like the correct one is probably better. Oh, the other thing is the belt. Yeah, so the belt is probably rigged to like half to this or something like that, or it should be 100% to this one. That's what I would do. I'd rig the buckle 100% to that bone, which means like when I bend over, it might clip into my chest or something like that. That would be a fix there. And when I go back, I'm gonna take the neck selection, 100% it to this, and then maybe like grab like a quarter, like this little piece here, and like 20% it to this shoulder bone. The clavicle helper, whatever that one's called. What is this thing called? Clavicle outs, and then there's clavicle scapula on the back here. Reweight those, and then I think I can just start like producing with him. And then I'm gonna start making more MetaHuman clothing at Lod 0 or Lod 1 apparently. This guy. I'm gonna start cleaning it up too, but we don't have all the tools yet, so it's gonna be like a kind of cleanup. But yeah, it's mostly the neck. Basically, if I reskin the neck and then attempt a slightly chiller retarget on the neck, I think this thing is pretty much good to go. The shoes just not good. I made them too short, and yeah, I kind of need to do it again. I need to make another garment, kind of like with the new things I know. Though that being said, I'm not making gloves, so like it's all gonna be very easy. It's pretty much an armpit situation. How do you author clothes? Like, how are you supposed to author this? I'll show him one thing. Actually, I gotta go, but I want to show. Yeah, look at all the stuff that comes in here by default. I think a headless MetaHuman is still the way for me, or old like. But the problem is he's not quads. Don't know if that's like an actual issue or not. I'm not sure. You're probably supposed to use that combined one. I just can't get it back out in a usable way. Look at all this shit in here. Like, I don't even know where anything is, actually. Maya. Fixes. Well, anyway, I still have a lot to work out. That workflow was okay, but I'm still going to end up doing it again differently. Did you manage to export this combined? No, not really. It like kind of works, but it doesn't work in the app I needed to, which is Shogun. And I've been talking to Vicon's back, I think today or tomorrow. But they're having issues with it too. So everyone's doing like their own like kind of weird hack version of it. I figured out mine. Like I can still produce with it, but it's like it's not great, but it works. But maybe that's just the reality of a lot of stuff like this. It's like it works barely, but it works. I can produce, but it's not like I'm not retargeting the actual skeleton correctly. Like I'm not retargeting the actual skeleton. I'm retargeting the old skeleton, and then just like having Unreal Engine. It can still be fed the old base skeleton, and then because all the corrective bones happen in the post process, it still works. But it's like it's not clean. I don't really like it. And I also wasn't able to export FBXs. It's a whole other process to do the FBX export import. I don't know how to do that. It didn't work for me. So there's still a lot more to figure out with this stuff, turns out. I'm sure there's even more and more that I don't even know about yet. But I would like to do another outfit from scratch, and not doing shoes and not doing gloves will dramatically reduce the amount of time. Like I could probably bang out the garment in like 2 days and then skin it in 1 day. So much shorter processes, no crazy outfits. But I do want to try the T-pose thing. I don't think you can author clothes in A-pose. I don't see how that's possible, but we'll find out. I gotta run. I'll be back. I don't know. I might start doing some MOCAP stuff with it, but we'll see. But yeah, anytime it's like rigging and like modeling